It's kind of a
You
weird.
watch Ballers?
I watch like it's sports entourage, and I love The Rock. But yeah, it's. I'm gonna cut this out because it's embarrassing. But I only watched the first season.
I'm cutting this out. I'm cutting this out.
It's on right after Game of Thrones.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to DragonCast for our Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 7 finale discussion and review. This episode was called The Dragon and the Wolf, and it featured some hot incest. Yeah, my name is Adam. I'll be the host for the evening, also known as drownedsnow on the podcast of Ice and Fire forums. And I am joined by...
This is Casey, Blue-Eyed Queen on the forums.
This is Alexi, Czar Alexi on the forums.
Varley on the forums.
Okay, this is amberrocks. Amberrocks. This is Amber.
Katie, Lady Griffin on the forums.
All right, this is Red White Raven on the forums.
And there you have it. And we'll be joined by a few other people later on, probably Greg, and who knows, maybe George himself. That's not happening. So, all right. So let's just get right into it here. This is kind of a long episode. It's probably going to take us a while. And we got some trivia to get to at the end. So let's start with our lemon cake reviews. Casey?
So I've gone back and forth on this, but I think I'm going to give it a 4 because overall this episode by itself made me pretty happy. And there are some things that were a little bit like with the rest of the season that like just doesn't make sense to me. But the episode as a whole I thought was good. So I was excited and can't wait for, 2 years from now.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I kind of immediately after. So I mean, we all season. I guess also I'll point out that we've been doing our reviews kind of right after the episode aired, which is kind of nice. Get it kind of fresh, but also we forget a lot of things. So with the finale, I wanted to at least give us a little time to. I went through and rewatched it and give us a little time to think it over because a lot happened. So
don't tell him that. Now we don't have any excuse to be bad.
I'll cut it out, Brett. So. But if you are interested in our crazy ramblings right after the episode aired, those are up on YouTube right now. I don't know how useful they are. Anyway, Matt, what did you think?
I did not like it, Sam. I am. I did not like the Lion and the Wolf.
You tried it?
It's the dragon.
I did. I tried it. A little bumps every now and then, just to like remind me how bad it fucking was. But none of it made fucking sense. I don't like the whole end of the Winterfell plot. I don't know what the fuck the dragon was breathing, and that whole Dragonpit scene was fucking bonkers. I didn't like it. After seeing the Spoils of War, which is probably the best episode that they put out in all seasons, the fact that they put out this piece of shit was just very disappointing.
So how many lemon cakes, Matt?
Well, like I said on the forums, I'll give it 2 lemon cakes because,
That's pretty high for that shade you were throwing at it.
Yeah, but it's
well,
like
we know where those 2 lemon cakes came from, and I think they're called
it's like
Aunt
pizza
and
and sex. At least you're getting Game of Thrones. Like, it's better than not getting Game of Thrones, even though it's shitty,
Yeah, well, next year we will not be getting Game of Thrones. Anyway, Alexi?
I'd give it a 3.5. I'd say it was okay. I think it could have had one particular more scene that they'll probably hopefully have in the next season that would have made it like a 5, but they elected to not do that. So I don't know. It's all right. It's enjoyable. I watched with a group of people and everyone seemed to enjoy it. Had a good time.
All right then. So Brett, where do you stand on Incest Gate?
I'm actually going to give it 4 out of 5. I didn't think it was that bad an episode. The season kind of had some weird parts in it that made some things in this episode not make a lot of sense. But I didn't mind the episode. I had fun. It's fun to watch. Can't wait for next season.
Yeah, someday. They're gonna make us wait like George now. They've learned
before
finally.
a book.
Amber.
Okay.
Amber gives it 3 car and driver
I really enjoyed
awards.
it. 4.65 butt cheeks.
But she yeah, something for the ladies.
4.65 sweet
some
butt
men.
cheeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
Oh boy.
And that was Amber, everybody. So, Katie, what did you think?
I'll give it a 5. I had fun.
Shut the fuck up.
We're back to 5.
Settle down, Matt. You had your turn.
Yeah, I mean, we got all of our rage out on Sunday, so I feel much better about the episode in general, even though so much of it is still really stupid and perplexing. But as a whole, I felt thrilled at certain parts that I haven't felt in a while. Some hot booty sex, and yeah, I honestly think like seeing hot people roll around for like 5 seconds on screen just elevated the entire episode up to 5 for me. So that's about it.
Oh yeah.
Like kind of an actual sex scene going on, which you don't really get too often.
Yeah, and it was I've learned to like these characters, and I'm glad that they've got a good thing going, and they're both gorgeous young people. So
yeah,
it was thrilling.
And
I think they
there
just
was
didn't
love.
sell it as well as I would like, because the whole time Danny's kind of looking at him like, "Oh, I know we're related." Like, you don't know that. Your character
And
doesn't know that.
Tyrion's looking at them like even worse.
You're mixing
So.
player knowledge and character knowledge. Anyway,
Didn't the
so,
Clarks look so good all season? Like,
yeah, her wardrobe, everything's been on point.
especially in that last scene, am I right? Sorry.
Yeah, we got to talk to the guy who dressed her.
Her wardrobe would look great crumpled up on my floor too. No?
Her naked skin. That's creepy.
What are you, a
So
boulder?
you're saying that you're Ramsey.
We're having fun here, right? Oh,
All right. I would say I would probably, I don't know. I think I'd give this a kind of a semi-reluctant 4, because I really loved a lot of the things that we got. I loved a lot of these scenes. I love where we ended the season for a lot of these characters. Great moments. Jaime finally being rid of Cersei, and Littlefinger's death, and the wall came down in a weird way, but the wall came down. Lots of cool stuff. I just kind of don't like how we got there, and some of it didn't make sense, which obviously takes me out of it. But it was an hour and a half with too much filler, so I gotta take a lemon cake off.
Before we start doing the review, can I pose an overall question for everybody, if that's okay? Adam?
Sure.
Does anybody else feel like they may have written what they wanted to end this season with, and then maybe based their writing off of the rest of this, or based their writing for the earlier parts of the season off this final episode? Because it seemed like everything in this episode was well put together as just by itself, but then everything before it, especially the past 2 episodes, felt very oh, we need to get to this moment, let's just get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I said this Sunday night, is that it feels like they spent most of this season they didn't really write a lot of the episodes. They storyboarded and was like, we want this to happen. Okay. And they wrote those scenes, and we have that happen, and they're like, oh shit, we got to fill out everything in between. And they kind of didn't spend as much time on that. And there was some of that in this episode, but definitely the whole season kind of felt like they picked scenes to write and then wrote around them. And then when it didn't make sense, they just kept it.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, we've already got what we want. We have to have this scene with Littlefinger. It doesn't matter that it should have happened much sooner. It doesn't matter that it doesn't make sense the way we set it up. We wanted in the finale as the big shock moment, the big shock death. So they kept it.
So we're gonna troll everyone to make everyone think the sisters are gonna cut each other's throats. Send Brienne to King's Landing for no fucking reason, and then just so we can have this one moment.
Well, no, look, Brienne in turns was actually sent for a good reason. She was just sent to to demonstrate that Sansa's involved and represent her interests, and it was probably a good move to send her. Everything went according to plan with that somehow.
Brienne the diplomat.
I know, but she was. I mean, we're jumping ahead, but she was overdressed, was she not, for the Dragonpit? She had her wolf skins on and shit, and Like, I thought someone was wearing shorts. I could have sworn someone was wearing shorts.
Like Jon has worn his wolfskins every episode.
Yeah.
Well, no, like
dude, it started snowing in King's Landing when
but
Jaime
like
did,
most
so-
of the time he's walking around looking kind of awkward without a cape. Like I've realized that Jon looks much better when he's walking around with a furry cape, and then when he's on Dragonstone and places, and he's just like,
Don't tell
look,
that
I
to
have
Jaime.
my direwolf sigil.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, dude, you need your cape. That's like your power.
He has really bad posture, and so when he doesn't have the floof on his shoulders, he slumps, and he just looks kind of curmudgeonly and toddlerish. And you know, I love Kit Harington, but he's a surly little boy.
Yeah. So let's just jump into this because we spend quite a while right here in King's Landing to start. So let's just kind of get into that and we can talk about it. So we get the previously on the episode, which I don't remember what all of that was. I even rewatched the episode a little while ago. I skipped that part, but it did set up most importantly Littlefinger, what was coming with him, and basically showed a few things we saw in the recent episodes. And we open with Grey Worm and the Unsullied, and this is pretty much all we're going to see of Grey Worm today. But it's I guess the point is that it's a show of power. You see the Unsullied, and they're talking about Lord Bronn, which I don't remember when he became a lord, but that's okay. He talks about how much he likes being called a lord. I thought he was just a knight, but I must have forgotten that. I thought he was still waiting on the castle. But maybe they made him lord and just haven't given him a castle, so it's kind of a hollow title. Maybe that's what's going on. Yeah. So they
wasn't he bitching about that in the Spoils of War? Like,
yeah, he was like,
Lord,
I need a castle. I need a castle. Give me Highgarden, right? So that's why I was, yeah. Anyway, so he talks about how I don't know why the Unsullied fight because they have nothing to fight for, and then the Dothraki show up, and he's ordering more pitch, and we see Euron has a ginormous fleet still, like all of his ships are still there, and Dany has like 5 ships, and she had the most ships, I'm pretty sure, at one point. I don't know how they all got taken out without Euron suffering really any losses, but we kind of have already covered that. Yeah, so it's all just this kind of big entrance. We get the scene on the boat with something chained in a cage or in the box, which we know what that is, obviously.
What's in the box?
What's in the box? That's all I could think this whole episode until it came out. It would just be a head. It'd be fantastic. And yeah, I thought it was kind of sad how Dany's ships were coming in with like just 5 ships, and they should have maybe just come in with the Unsullied. It would have been more impressive. And we do get them walking to the Dragonpit, and a couple of reunions here with Pod and Tyrion and Brienne and the Hound, and several conversations, and we'll stop there right on the way to the Dragonpit. What did you guys think of this? I thought the Dragonpit seemed awfully far away from King's Landing, but
I just wanted to say just earlier about them writing the end scenes and then writing before. It's like the complete opposite of what George R. R. Martin always talks about, him like gardening the story. And I think the show is kind of as if George R. R. Martin didn't do that, and he just had his ideals of what he needs to do, and he just wrote in between them. So that's why there's such problems, is because they don't look what they've written to decide what to do next. They just already have decided what to do next.
Because I mean, they've already have an end date, so they've given their like 2 weeks notice, and like you know how it is when you quit a job, and even if it's a job you loved, or especially if it's a job you hated, man, those last few weeks are the best. You are out of there. You
I don't think they stopped trying, because this is still their legacy.
No, I don't mean they stopped trying, but like you tend to be less like critical of your own work, right? You just kind of like, yeah, like let's go with what we got. Let's just get it done.
I think this is why it's taking him so long to write it, because maybe the characters that he's written have grown from where they were before, so now his end game doesn't necessarily make sense, so he has to change it because the characters aren't going to act the way that he thought they were going to when he first started writing them.
Right, and
with the show, they just don't care.
Yeah, that could work for D&D too. Like, they had like the finish line for a couple of storylines, so they just got there as conveniently as they could, and now it's just like, oh well, nothing fucking makes sense now, because you don't really have to think about like developing this end line. You know the end line.
Question: where did Grey Worm come from?
Casterly Rock.
Yeah, but they were trapped inside Casterly Rock.
They were trapped from the sea, and we see that Euron's fleet left anyway. So they said there was a throwaway line like they're going to have to march all the way across Westeros. Man, it's going to take them a long time.
Which they did.
Certainly they did. It doesn't take anyone else a long time to get anywhere, but it took them.
I guess.
So,
I mean, Brienne and Pod got down to fucking King's Landing in a episode, so.
Yeah, but they're quick. I mean, it's just 2 people.
And I mean, you can see Highgarden from basically King's Landing.
Yeah.
I said
Like
before that
it's shrunk.
the map
a
at the
lot.
beginning is actually to scale, like the size of the castles on the map.
I thought the line with Bronn, well, like it's cool to show, that he's commanding. It was pretty stupid though. I mean, you're gonna use all the barrels of pitch you have. You're not just gonna be like, 500 more. I had some more in the basement. I thought we're just gonna leave that.
Yeah.
forever.
I did think he was like, you got 500. All right, 500 more. And like the look on that soldier's face was like, oh god.
When the Dothraki showed up, he should have been like, 500 more!
I don't have any more pitch, sir. Well, damn. Thought we were hiding it somewhere.
There's only so much pitch. If only we had some wildfire.
Yeah, what happened to all that?
Some fucker used it to blow up like a half a dozen enemies. Motherfucker.
Yeah, so this is kind of some great scenery. They're walking along, and like I don't know, it's like a vineyard or somewhere wherever they shot this, and they run into the Lannisters, and we have the reunion and Pod and Tyrion, which didn't really go on as long as maybe you'd want, but it was kind of nice. They're like, "Hey, what's up?" And even Bronn for a second was like, "Yeah, I guess I'm glad you're not dead," but then explains why he's still staying with Cersei. Kind of. I don't know.
Didn't they already have
get
this
another
conversation last season?
Yeah.
Outside Jaime's tent, like in River Run, like
they had this conversation in like below King's Landing, kind of too, right? So
it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Well, here's the deal. I mean, I think unfortunately, in the next scene, we see that Bronn takes Pod to get a drink before Cersei has to actually make her call, and Lena Headley has to be on scene, so they don't have to share any time together. But I think they feel like Bronn, they have to have someone in King's Landing if Jaime's leaving, and they're like, Bronn can be the King's Landing guy, but like they're never going to be in a scene together, so I don't know how you're going to do that.
Pod, they left and never came back ever. Like we never saw him again this episode.
That's true. And why would Jaime leave without his Bronn? That's not
without his brawn.
Yeah, he needs his brawn to like carry his bags, do right-handed.
So does that make Jaime the brain?
Oh, Amber with the funny joke.
Yeah, they're Jaime and the brain.
I didn't stand up for that one because I was driving.
That's why it landed so
stay seated.
So next season will just be Cersei sitting brooding while the undead mountain just walks back and forth, like pacing.
No, it's gonna be Qyburn. She's gonna talk to Qyburn, like, tell Bronn that I need, and then she's gonna go to Bronn, and Bronn's gonna be like, tell Cersei I'm on it, and then like.
Or they're just like always across the room from one another, so they can record them separately.
That's right. They could just do like dueling shots, like they're seated at the same table, but it's like all single cam. Yeah. So anyway, they continue along this line, and we get to the Dragon Pit, which is some old arena that doesn't really look quite big enough to have held giant dragons, but it's okay.
Did anybody else notice that the Hound like left the donkey thing outside, and then when he goes to get it, he goes down the Dragon Pit?
Yeah, and then lifts up the basket himself.
Dramatic effect.
That part doesn't bother me. It's that he left the donkey outside where they all came from, and then he walked down into the pit to come out of there with it, but it wasn't down there.
He tells them all not to touch it, and I guess they move it into position or something.
I was concerned that
dude, the donkey's
Lannister red shirt or whatever was gonna open the case, and we were gonna have to like have a subplot of like finding the dead guy in the city.
Yeah. 30 minutes of like find the undead Lannister. He bit me, I'm turning. That isn't how it works.
Red keeps CSI. Not good.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, we still haven't really figured out what it takes to turn someone. south
Magic.
of the wall.
We don't even know
So-
what it takes to kill one of them.
Yeah, we
No,
did.
Maybe you can
Dragon
stab it.
Fire
Glass.
Dragon Glass.
Dragon Glass and Fire, man.
I don't know. I saw Tormund taking down fuckers with his axe last episode.
He had a Dragon Glass
And-
axe.
Should they have also said Valyrian steel? That does it too, right? In the show?
Yeah.
He didn't want to
Yeah,
tell him
but
that.
like no one has that shit.
But isn't Dragon Glass just for White Walkers, not for Whites?
Only
In
in
the,
the,
Gendry's
in the
book.
show,
Yeah.
they've established
Sticking
that
out
it works
people.
on the whites.
All
In the
right.
book, I'm pretty sure it's only the others, right?
The Dragon Glass works
Yeah.
way better than fire, apparently.
Yeah, and the Dragon Glass isn't going to work
Doesn't
so
make-
well on a lot of whites, just because of the fact that they are that they'll have armor and stuff, right? So it's
I don't
not
know. They
really
seem
that
to be doing an
effective
alright
a
job
weapon.
against them when they were in the middle of the lake.
Yeah, but like when they get south and they let's say they take out an army or something, all of those people are going to be wearing normal armor. So
which is
it's not
why it
gonna do
doesn't
so well.
work on Small Paul for what's his name, Sam in the books, because the obsidian breaks off in his armor, but he was able to stick like a barely lit piece of fucking wood in his mouth, and then all of a sudden flames leap out of his eyes. So there's that. I don't know how you kill anything.
Well,
Like,
well, the
I don't know
books
if
and the
it's
show
like-
are different, Matt.
Yeah, I know, but like even the show isn't the same. It's like
The
okay,
show is
so
being consistent.
they stabbed the white bear
On this anyway.
fire swords and it was on fire and it was still like attacking, and then you can stab a white with just a blade or a hammer and it falls down dead.
Well, it doesn't
They
fall
were-
down dead. It like collapses because it's like a skeleton white, and they break it apart. I think is what's going on there. I mean, I don't know. That battle
That
happened
doesn't
so
make
quickly.
fucking sense either, because it doesn't kill it.
No, it doesn't kill it, but it like smashes it onto the ice, and like I don't know.
Then
They're too
theoretically,
busy.
their like hands would all like there'd be like severed arms just all crawling up towards them.
Yeah, there should be.
Oh
There
yeah.
should be.
Speaking of which, like Hybern looked like he wanted to get weird with that fucking thing.
He actually, he looked like
Oh
he
my
was like
gosh.
sad that they burned it. He like took a step forward, like, oh no.
I was
need
waiting
to
for
study
everyone to
that."
pick him up and just like try to like scratch his back with it. And be like, yeah, this works.
Dropping in his pants.
Put
Ooh,
a
it
fucking
tickles.
on
But
back of-
anyway, we
Yeah.
haven't gotten there yet.
Cool.
Yeah. So they get to the dragon pit, and the first thing we get is them talking about how much Lannisters suck and Clegane suck, and then we get Gregor showing up and looking undead as hell, and Sandor just walks right up. People in this episode, like enemies, just walked right up to each other a bunch because it was like a chill mood in the arena, I guess. And he says stuff, and I've seen some confusion about this online. He says like, what have they done to you? Like, and then he said, oh, well, but that's not what's going to kill you or whatever. Like, what's coming for you, the same thing that's always been coming for you. And people are like, well, who is that? What does that mean? And like, I took that as him meaning like, whatever they did isn't going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Like, I'm coming for you. But other people
Yeah,
have
but
taken
why
that
wouldn't he
as
keep
meaning
that right
someone
there?
else is coming for him.
What?
Well,
Why wouldn't
because
he
they're
kill
on
him
like a
right there?
parlay. It's not on his time, right? He's like, we'll do this later.
When later? Like,
I don't know,
Sid
whenever.
just saw what the fuck happened north of the wall. He knows what's going on. Like, it just doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, and I expected this
Matt,
whole.
it would have made
this-
less sense if he killed them right there and nobody did anything.
Exactly.
No, because
Like,
at least everyone would have gotten a fight, and shit would have we would have lost some people. It wouldn't be all this backhanded Tyrion talking to Cersei later and her not killing him, like the Mountain drawing his sword and not killing fucking Jaime. Like, it didn't make
the
any
Mountain was all about drawing his sword this episode, man. Like he's just been standing still for like seasons.
He's losing his eyesight because his eyeballs are real puffy and gross now.
They fucked up.
Everything
We
about him is
you know
gross.
that?
And
Aren't those just white, maybe their cataracts are like the opposite of cataracts because they're dead. So
oh
that's
my
opposite.
gosh. I think this is the best look we've gotten at his face so far. It's like little by little, Cersei just doesn't give a fuck about people seeing the Mountain anymore.
I really hate the Lannister, not the Lannister, but the King Queensguard armor. The helmets look so fucking dumb. It's almost like they were like, well, we don't want to cast anybody for these roles, so we'll just have film crew play them, but we'll put helmets on them so nobody can tell.
Yeah, well, remember when Tommen all of a sudden had new Kingsguard, and we're like, who are these guys? They're like, they're never gonna tell us.
Which is fine. It's just those helmets look so ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I think they're kind of mirroring the Lannister helmets a little bit, and the Kingsguard helmets with the design.
I've always thought the Lannister helmets looked ridiculous too.
And then, yeah, they do. And then they went like all black with it.
Like stepped on them, they'd like push like Mario.
Yeah, there's no one inside them. It's just a bunch of children walking around. It's Qyburn's children. It's Qyburn's kids.
Is the idea that Cersei's just mourning forever? Basically, is that why she's like they're still going with the black theme, or do they just?
I don't know if it was like if it started off as a mourning thing and she was just like, I'm metal as hell, I'm keeping it. I don't know.
Because she must be cutting her hair now because it's been a long time. She must just go with the style.
Yeah, they don't want her hair to grow out because Cersei with hair didn't have the power. So Cersei without hair, it's like is it because it's a more masculine look? So now she can have power. Is that what they're thinking? Like it's
the opposite.
Is that why Jon seems to never have any power?
His hair.
He needs to cut his hair like Jaime.
He needs to cut his hair.
Cut his man bun.
Yeah. Oh, let's not even get into those glasses he wears. Yeah. Yeah, did you guys see that? Like, someone posted that picture of, like, Kit Harington in his suit with glasses, and, like, a picture of young George, like, with his scraggly beard and everything.
Someone, I never get credit for anything.
Well, it's an old
pretty sure you didn't find
picture,
that picture, bro.
That's, like, been around
Well, no,
for, like, a year
some
now,
genius
so
posted it on the internet, and I screenshotted it and posted it in the thread.
Matt invented it, guys.
Wow.
No, I didn't.
Hey, like, I think 3 of us posted the same link in the thread this week, so it's okay. It's a little hard to keep track when there's, like, 500 messages.
I think Matt's point is that you should always keep track and always give him credit.
Citation needed, Sam.
Thank you.
Anyway, so the
Sam got up to
doesn't
the
happen.
wall real quick, huh?
Yeah, everyone gets everywhere quick now. We're kind of we've blown past that, except for the Unsullied, who take a while. So Clegane Bowl doesn't happen, but they talk their shit, and then Cersei, being typical Cersei, I've been here 30 seconds. She's keeping me waiting? Oh, she didn't come with you? Typical. Typical. Where is she?
She was just pissed because she wanted to keep her waiting.
She very clearly knows that she's about to fly in on her fucking dragon. And, like, instead of being like, shit, there's about to be a dragon, she's just like, I have to act mad. I'm the ruler. Remember, you're the ruler, Cersei. And then, of course...
I have to be Tywin.
Yeah, just like Tywin would. And then Daenerys makes her entrance, which is pretty badass. But she does make the mistake of bringing the other dragon with her, which, is a clue that the other one's dead, apparently. To crazy Cersei.
I follow that logic.
I mean, I kind of do, but I also get Jaime later being like, it doesn't mean anything necessarily. So.
No, I think her logic was sound there.
Yeah,
she brought
that's
her
what I'm
army
saying.
and
if she had left him behind and just brought one dragon, then it wouldn't have been suspicious.
What was the third one? Like, she's like, oh, he's probably protecting their navy. What, all 5 boats? I think
yeah, all 5 ships. You can see them. They're in your harbor.
But that didn't make any fucking sense either. Of course, one dragon could have died, but one dragon nuked half of their fucking supply chain. So, like, you have.
She's assuming, she's figuring that the White Walkers have a way to kill them, so let them go fight the White Walkers, and maybe they'll kill the other 2.
Yeah. Anyway, so we get to play the game of. Everybody sits down at their fancy chairs and talks their shit. And Euron is like, you better come join me. I got your sister. Not going to show you her. You just got to believe I still have her alive, Theon. So, and then he makes a dumb joke about Tyrion's height. And Tyrion points out that it was a dumb joke. And everybody has their moment. I kind of thought right then would have been a good time maybe for Euron to just like pull out his knife and kill Tyrion. And then let's see what happens. But, of course, we're not going to do that. So... yeah. So then we get the I don't know why the Hound has to carry this box by himself. Like, just to show that he's that strong. But he brings it
because all the red shirts north of the wall died and they literally have none.
Yeah, well, except for all of the literal red shirts that the Lannisters brought. Could probably have done this. But he doesn't want to even touch the box, I guess.
Stuff Rocky or
yeah.
He's just got to show off
around.
his
like,
back muscles.
here's the problem. It seems like they're so far away. I have trouble believing that Cersei would have walked like straight out of the city, like, you know, over the hill to the dragon pit with basically no protection. Yeah, because they could just kill her right there and be done very easily. Like,
well, the opposite's also true.
Not really, because they have the dragons. I'm just saying.
That doesn't mean she can't kill them.
I didn't unmute fast enough. I also thought it was weird, like the Hound kind of like, when he was checking on it on the ship, it's kind of like his baby now.
he's paranoid it's gonna get out, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, like that's his white now.
This is you leave little Sandor alone.
But
He was mourning it after it died.
together. You know?
Yeah. So they try to scare him straight by releasing this other or the white on them, and no one like steps up to try to save Cersei when it almost like, you know, gets right up to her.
Fucking moves.
But like Jaime's like, I ain't protecting her. But I guess they all saw that the Hound was about to grab that chain, so it was okay.
Well, let's be, because the Kingsguard must have been like, yeah, no. She's like, you're all fucking.
The Kingsguard is like, she hasn't ordered us to do anything. We do nothing without orders anymore. Yeah.
Does anybody feel like? Sorry, I just wanted to talk about Sandor for a bit. Does anybody feel like he's all of a sudden like become like the White Walker like master with these scenes? Like, he's in charge of it on the boat. He brings
the Walker
it up.
Whisperer.
Yeah, he's the one that has to kill it. He explains everything, and this is part of the reason why I think that the previous episodes were written way after this episode, because I think that they wanted to, like, you know, make him more into like the flame stuff and the propheticness and all that
Right.
stuff.
Well,
I guess
he's studying the undead. Sorry, so he knows how to kill his brother.
Oh, well, he didn't. Does he
like a college
realize?
course.
Does he know that he's undead? Like, it's because I don't know. He wasn't around when he died, and there's so much.
He said that
I don't
vague
know.
thing about how he, like, we both know where your death is, or something like that. And I was like, so there's no Clegane Bowl, but everybody still thinks there's a Clegane Bowl on Twitter, so I'm not really sure what's going on.
There's not a Clegane Bowl right now, but I just wondered if what was going on with him had something like when he's beyond the wall, and then they finish that up. And Barrick's like, well, I'm staying here. Good to see you. Goodbye. Like, they never even discussed, like, where he was. I just thought maybe he's like, well, I'm done. I'm going to go back and dig more graves or something. Like, it wasn't clear that he's like, oh, I'm going with these people now. You know? Like, it was very unclear, like, what his intentions are, where he's going. But then he's on the boat, and he's presenting the white. It's fine. It's just they didn't really explain why he's down with that instead of, you know, wanting to fight the undead in the north.
We
or something.
established this, that White is his new best friend. It's his murderous best friend. He calls it Arya.
He calls it Arya.
We did get that conversation between him and Brienne where she mentions that Arya's alive and kind of badass, and they seem to share a bit of a moment, which, you know, there was more chemistry there, unfortunately, for Tormund than there was with him and Brienne.
Jaime better get on that before the
But
Hound
then, well,
steals
no,
away.
when Jaime showed up, she still gave him those eyes, so I don't know. And he's coming to her.
The most eligible bachelorette in
Tormund's
Westeros.
going to lay down his game and be like, totally get out, Jaime. Come on.
Yeah, pretty soon Bran is going to be like, Lady Brienne, I'm interested as well. Like, it's going to be everybody.
If I were Bran, I'd go after little Lyanna.
Your great-grandfather was named Sir Duncan the Tall.
Why?
Well, because in the
Leave
show,
Lyanna
he
alone.
should be like 8 years old, just like she is. All right, moving on.
Yeah. Let's. I'll just cut that out for you, Brett. So.
I saw when you were born. What? That's
So-
creepy.
we went through this a little bit. It was a bit confusing at the time, but I rewatched it and it makes a little bit more sense, but not really. So Cersei seems kind of reasonable, and all of a sudden is like, "What the hell's going on? Oh my gosh, the undead are our enemy." And Euron's like, "Oh, well, can they swim? No? All right. Well, I'm going back to my island. Goodbye." Which, yeah, whatever.
Was that a Euron accent?
I don't know
I thought
what
it was a
accent that guy
Patrick.
What was
does.
that? It was like you went to Dorne.
Is that what they talk like in Dorne? I don't know. I'm a little nasally today.
He
It's
was
probably
just
throwing
trying to
off
sound
my
not like
normally
Adam.
on-point accents. Yeah, I was just picking a different accent than what I normally do. Anyway,
Damn them all like this. Hey.
so I like for the moment I was like, hey, it seems like Cersei's being reasonable. This can't be real, but she does agree to the truce and says it's all good. But she wants, I guess, as a condition of that Jon also agree to a truce. I thought it was like he was just saying like she was saying that he was just going to sign on to the truce, but
No,
she
said
wants like a
extend
separate
this truce.
Yeah, a separate. Yeah, so I thought it's like you just have to agree to this, but I guess it's actually a separate truce so that when they're done, that he won't pick sides when they're done.
It was
It
Matt
just
earlier.
seems like if they're talking about a truce, it would encompass everybody who's at the war council. The fact that she has to point Jon out of the crowd and say, "By the way, don't take sides," it feels strange.
Right, and-
The truce means everyone is going
Yeah.
to put down their arms.
The fact is that you didn't need to do that because they're all kind of there together doing it, but she didn't specify, and I like this is clearly what I think she meant, but she didn't specify like you won't take sides between us, period.
Right,
like,
she
ever.
said extend the truce, not like he's part of this truce. I think she meant extend it. I just think it was poorly written.
Yeah,
So I'm pretty
it's
sure she
definitely
means that.
Only this part?
It's definitely that.
Yep, only this
So-
part, Matt, is the only
But
part
yeah,
that was
so
bad.
but she didn't
That's
really
part.
say it clearly, but obviously what she means, and she's asking this vow, and because when Dany's like, "What are you asking that of me as well?" and she's like, "I know you wouldn't do that." So basically,
Right.
she's saying like, "You're never going to come at me. You got to tell me right now you're never going to come at me," which she knows that's ridiculous, and he's not going to agree to, because it's crazy. So then she throws her hissy fit and walks off, all
But he
the way
is a
back to the Red
Stark.
Keep.
Or the,
Well,
Ned
that's why
son
she
or
says
whatever.
she trusts his word if he gives his word, but she knows he's not going to give his word. Like she knows that's why he can't agree to that, and it just gives her a reason to be like, well, screw you guys then, right?
Right.
Guys,
So she can- 'cause it would have been too easy
not
for
a star.
I said snow.
Okay, so
it would have been too easy. Like Tyrion wouldn't have believed her, I don't think,
Sure,
yeah,
but like
had it
from
have
a
happened here.
from a dramatic standpoint, just from a dramatic standpoint, it is a very strange thing for the tension in this scene to hinge on. Like you're trying
Yeah.
to catch up with like what the protocol is for the war council, and it's like, wait, what? This is what she's upset about? Really? This is why Cersei is storming off? It doesn't matter that later it turns out to be a ruse. In the moment, it's just confusing and not. It's not. It's
Yeah,
not.
that's why-
Yeah.
that's why they were like, okay, I guess we'll let Tyrion sit there, and they all sit there like dumbfounded, like, what are we doing? And they said, oh, we're fucked. Which the thing that gets me is because later on she's like, well, where are we going to send men to help you? They didn't ask her to help. They just asked her to kind of like, hey, leave us alone. And in this,
But they
they
were
have a
saying-
conversation saying that, well, we know she's going to take back half the country as soon as we leave. And it's like, you have Dragonstone, and I don't even know if you have Casterly Rock anymore, because the Unsullied are here. Like, maybe they left a few people, but what country are you talking about? Like, the Freys
You haven't
are dead.
taken castles.
No one seems to know the Freys are dead. The Riverlands are still a question mark. The Vale is the Vale. The army of Dorne is certainly not going to be helping her. Like I'm not really certain what they're worried about. I get Cersei's point.
Well, they're
let
just
them
worried
go
about
die.
fighting two different armies at the same time, like Cersei attacking them from the south
Yeah,
while
so
they're
they
being
think
attacked from
Cersei's
the
going to march up to the north, like, and get them in the rear. Like that would be
north.
yeah. Okay.
But then,
shots.
Cersei, so Euron already is left, and so Cersei already believes that she's like already determined not to agree to the truce. So she's just faking it then,
Right.
I
then-
do think she's faking it. Like I think she did this on purpose because I don't think that she believes that Tyrion would buy her turning that quickly.
But you think she thinks Tyrion is going to come? Like she planned for Tyrion to come and convince her.
I
Or
don't
do
know
you
if she
think she
thought
planned to
Tyrion
just
was
say
going
no?
to, but I think she planned on saying yes when they sent somebody else to come because I think she assumed they had to, just like they said they were
Right.
fucked.
But I mean, how easy would it have been to just like get them with the dragon on their like 5-hour hike back to the Red Keep? Like,
Get them with
I
the
don't know.
dragon.
Yeah.
What do you
yeah,
mean?
just
Yeah,
end it,
burn 'em
just
all
kill them. Yeah, like because
It's
they
like 5
left.
dudes.
They all left. It wasn't like there's a Lannister army at the Dragon Pit holding them there. they're just sitting there by themselves waiting, right? Like, they could have easily just said, well, we're just going to kill her now then, if she's not going to agree with us. That would have been the smart move, I think. But Tyrion decides to go talk to them, and they all go and come back in like 20 minutes. And again, the Red Keep is at least 20 miles away. So...
Well, maybe they were going to have, like, the 2 CGI armies next to the Dragon Pit, but it was just, like, too expensive. So they were just like, screw it.
I thought it was weird that Tyrion...
How many Lannisters are left? And also, they brought up in what, the second episode or the first episode that the Freys were all suddenly murdered? Like, who's holding the Riverlands? Like, did Arya ever release Aemon, her uncle?
No, like, that's just it, is that first scene, the Freys have died, and we have seen no consequences. We know nothing about what's going on at the Twins. Armies can just go march up and down the Riverlands just fine. We have no idea if the Freys that were at the Riverlands are still alive, or at Riverrun.
Well, it's like the first 3 seasons of the show were, like, majority of them were in the Riverlands, and since then there's basically been, like 2 scenes in the whole... And so basically, the Riverlands aren't a thing anymore to the showrunners, I guess.
They just skip it when they're going north.
I have to say it was really funny watching the scene go down in a bar with a bunch of people, because when like Jon was trying to decide which side to choose, and everyone was like, pick Dany, and then he picked Dany, and everyone was like, yeah, and then like the aftermath of that happened, and everyone was just like laughing at him the whole time, like, Jon, you fucked up. I'm like, you guys all wanted him to pick Dany, come on.
Did anybody else think it was weird that... Anybody else think it's weird when Jon Snow offers to go parlay with Cersei and Tyrion's like, no, she'd definitely kill you? Why would she have more of a reason to kill Jon than Tyrion?
He's a bastard and she doesn't like bastards.
I don't think she would have killed him for that.
I don't know what Tyrion was thinking, but that's what leads me to think that he like got a side deal, and that's why he had that weird pervy look like at the end of the episode. Especially
like the scene
when he's like,
there.
I never wanted to kill our own house, but father turned against me and you turned against me and blah, 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 whatever. And then she's like, oh, I'm pregnant. And it's like, oh, the house is going on.
So you think Tyrion has turned to Cersei?
No. I mean, I think...
Maybe he's back on Team Lannister.
So I went and read like some of the leaks, by the way, from the season, which a lot of them were like fairly accurate. One of them was like Tyrion turns because Daenerys, is too violent or something. That never happened. So, yeah, I don't know why he would, other than just being sad Tyrion. But hopefully he's past that, right?
Well, I don't know.
Well, and Cersei just kind of probably blames anything related to Stark for everything, right?
I mean, Daenerys has treated him like a kicked dog. I mean, not for not good reason for the entire season, because he's
Cersei has been like a master like strategist this whole season,
which doesn't make any goddamn sense.
No, it doesn't. I mean, they wanted us to see that there was conflict and that there was a possibility that, hey, Dany doesn't have it unlocked like you thought. But I still thought this was going to get wrapped up pretty easily this season. And now, like, how much of this do we have to deal with next year? Along with everything else, it's, I don't know. I guess that's something we'll discuss later. But
there's only 3 houses left, or no, 4 houses, because the Greyjoys are still around. So,
Oh, come on! I saw a Royce, and there were no more months today. I did see a Tarly.
But that's not a great house.
Oh.
Well, they probably rule the...
Well, Sam now rules the fucking Highgarden.
Yeah, they probably rule Highgarden, like... and the first of his name. But yeah, so this still does bring up the issue of the fact that Dorne was going to, send their army and ally with Daenerys, and I would assume that they sent all those ships. The Dornish people knew that. And now, like, their leaders are dead, so I would still think that they've got that in their back pocket as, like, some support they can have. But they don't even need it right now. All they really need is what they've got to easily, kill her. And the whole point is they don't want to destroy the city, but now they got her out of the city, and they could have assassinated her anyway.
But then it'd put a black mark on the whole thing.
Yeah, it wouldn't be honorable. Sure. Yeah. Fire is the champion of House Targaryen, Brett. So yeah, it doesn't really work. Doesn't scare Dany straight. We get the wine and the drinking and the Tyrion, and it's kind of cool. Like it's like there's actually gave them something to do for once. The actors. Yeah, I thought like in this scene he was mostly kind of off. He was offering himself to just be like, I just want to die. Is that enough? Like I don't think that would have worked anyway. But again, somehow she's reasonable and decides that she's going to go back to the Dragonpit and tell them.
But she's proved that she's not reasonable, and then she proves it later. Like I don't understand.
Yeah. Oh,
like I said, I think it was part of her plan.
Yeah, in between all of this, before she comes back to the Dragonpit, we do actually get that conversation with Jon and Dany, where she talks about how like I can't have kids, like Targaryens are done, yo. And he's like, who told you that? Like, oh, the witch that killed my husband. Well, that doesn't sound like a good source. Like,
Yeah, Mihal
and it's like she never thought about that.
Yeah, Mihal and I yelled about this a lot because it's like Jon is like trying to explain to Dany how her uterus works, and it's like that is she's probably turned this situation over 1,000 different times in 1,000 different ways in her head. Shut the fuck up, Jon. Like
it's probably just as much.
Do you know Dany's cycle? You don't know Dany's cycle.
Yeah. And also,
the egg was strong with
quite
Lyanna,
frankly, like a little too much booze on a guy might decrease performance. Maybe being dead for a day or two.
Man, you are obsessed with this undead semen, dude. Like,
it doesn't make any goddamn sense. His heart's not even supposed to be beating.
Well,
I do want to know how he gets it up, if I'm honest.
Magic.
He's not dead.
I do this at work. There's a device
It's very cold.
and it's got a pump. You just gotta squeeze
like a popsicle.
It's very selective rigor mortis.
I mean, do they know?
He was so hard when they stabbed him, and it just stayed that way.
He got a hard on for Benjen.
If your erection lasts more than 4 months.
Amber, what were you saying?
He in that where he revives himself.
Revive himself? Yeah, I did that.
Hey.
Hold on, Amber, what were you saying?
Has it been established that he's undead, or haven't they just been brought back to life?
Well, it was something that George said in an interview, which is not necessarily going to be canon to the show.
You don't listen to that.
Because like they talk about, like George and like was saying him and Barrack, their hearts have stopped and they're whites and they're not breathing and shit. But clearly, I saw the breath coming out of their, above the wall. So.
In like the cave, Barrack lights the sword with his hand.
Lately?
And if his blood isn't pumping, then he wouldn't have the blood to do that. In the books.
Yeah. So,
question.
Anyway.
Wait, I have a real question about the plot. So,
yay.
Do we think that Tyrion has betrayed Dany in some small way? Because we do not see the end of this conversation when he needlessly points out that, oh, you're pregnant, as if her touching her stomach over and over wasn't a pretty good indicator of that.
Oh yeah. She was telegraphing that to him, like, oh, well, you just start thinking about the ones you care. Oh, excuse me, morning sickness. Like,
and then she was so surprised when he figured it out.
I don't think she was surprised. I think she wanted him to figure it out.
And then she's like, guzzling.
Surprised.
It's like, no, it's good for me.
And she's playing the hell out of him. So in the books, Cersei thinks she's an amazing plotter and is just batshit crazy and no one ever buys it. And on the show, it seems like people don't like her, but like it works a lot of times. And on Tyrion is like the person it shouldn't work on, but he's always kind of been a sucker for like family, and he's always been wanting family. And I don't know, like the part where he said, he's like, I'm very sorry about the kids. Like don't pretend like I love them. Like I didn't want them to die. That's obviously very heartfelt. So her saying like, well, I'm pregnant to him is kind of like, well, I didn't want you to die, but now we got to figure out something. And so maybe he offered her, I don't know, maybe he said, well, when we come back, you can have Casterly Rock, or I don't know.
I don't know. He's running a risk. There's a 33% chance that this could be another Joffrey.
I don't know. With incest, doesn't it like grow exponentially?
No, because Joffrey was the first one.
Yeah, well, it's the same generation. It's fine.
Oh yeah, that's right. It would have to progress.
Wait a minute. Why are they? Why is that fine?
It's
Because they're.
We were talking about like physical and mental retardation in terms of incest, and it's like Jaime and Cersei are in the same generation, so it's not like them having more kids is going to increase the rate of possible.
Yeah. It increases with every new genetic leap forward.
Yeah, but Tom and Marcella were fine, and now Jaime's sperm is.
Were they though? Tommen jumped out a fucking window. Like,
well, he just lost a lot of people at one time and knew his mother did it.
Yeah, but he also was easily manipulated by that High Sparrow dude. Like, he just seemed.
So he's
I don't know.
So he's like half the other people.
No, I'm not saying he was. I'm just saying like
Hammer was wearing like fucking hammer pants, and I was wearing them.
He had been successfully married to Natalie Dormer, and she suddenly died. And you don't think that's a worthy cause for death?
I would.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I get if he's depressed and it seems like Tommen was. I don't know. It seemed like he was a little off, or maybe that was just the last season.
I don't think so. I think you're putting a lot on a 13-year-old kid that was made the king and had a wife.
Yeah, but
Natalie Dormer is one of the most beautiful people in the world. I would probably fall out a window if she exploded in front of me.
Well, it was to be fair, he didn't actually see her explode. He just assumed she was in the building. What if she hadn't been there? What if she hadn't been there?
On the way down, she runs out.
He didn't even wait for the casualty report, okay?
Stella was clearly messed up in the head because she fell for that shitty Dornish bro.
Was he shitty? He was like the only one that was treating her nice ever.
That was like the best relationship in the whole show.
Slimy.
Yeah. So
I see how it is, Amber. That's not
true.
We're finally getting to important scenes here, guys. We're finally getting out of this bullshit.
1 hour in.
1 hour in.
Yeah. Jesus, guys. When I said I was going to be a bit late.
This was all just like Dragonpit filler. Oh, damn. Hey, Paul, how's it going? So
did you give lemon cakes?
Yeah, man. Tell us before we move on to. I wrote King's Landing for this scene, but it's Winterfell.
On the board, on the forums, I believe I gave it a 3.5. I felt there were some pretty weak spots, but Ice Dragon taking down the wall at the end kind of gave it some redeeming quality.
Yeah, and the forum reviews were all over the place. There were a lot of high reviews, a good amount of low reviews, a couple bowls of brown, which we haven't seen a lot of this season. I think we saw one out of all the other episodes. So, yeah, some people were pissed. Anyway, so we move north as fast as the ravens fly, but it's kind of hard for them to do that in the snow, apparently. So Sansa gets the letter about Jon bending the knee and is like, what's going on? And why isn't he writing me? And oh man, I hate Jon, and what should I do, Littlefinger? And Littlefinger does his thing. It's like the compliment sandwich, where he's like, well, it's very hard for ravens to fly in the snow, which fuck you, it's not. We saw that already. And then he's like, maybe we can undo the King of the North, but Jon's your brother. Like. He does this thing where he tries to manipulate people by telling them the opposite of what he wants, sandwiched in with what he wants, and it's just like extremely transparent. So,
as a manager, I try to do the same thing to my employers. Like,
and
doing really good.
Like and it's in this scene. It seems like he uses his Littlefinger mind trick, which we find out later doesn't work, thankfully. But Sansa just is like, what could Arya be after me for? She's here to kill me. She wants to take Winterfell from me. Oh no. And like he's just sitting over there with his shit-eating grin, loving every minute of it.
He's doing the Mr. Burns like, excellent.
Yeah, so this was just a quick interlude. But what did you guys think? Like, were you scared at this point? Did you think it was totally going down? Like, what were your impressions here?
I thought it was going down, but we obviously know that that's not what happens.
I thought it was well enough. I guess in a way it was well done, as in you did think it. I thought it might happen that they were going to kill each other, but then it wasn't like you liked that. Before you're afraid characters can die because that adds to the tension. This was just like, I'm afraid this is going to happen, but if this happened, it's going to be stupid. It's not going to be like
right,
cool.
Exactly. I was like, I think this is where they're going, but it doesn't make sense. Like it's really stupid what's going on right now, and I hope somehow they turn it around. But that also won't make sense, and it didn't.
And it didn't. It made less sense.
Yeah, but you know what? I still got the scene I wanted, so they kind of they brought me back a little bit with that, even though it didn't make sense. That's okay. Sometimes, I guess.
What scene was that? Where where she's like, Arya,
we'll get
come
there.
into the.
We'll get there. We're not there yet, Matt. So, anybody, you have anything else you want to say about this?
I mean, if they were gonna betray, if they had, I mean, is this implying that the whole last few episodes were all Arya and Sansa doing all these things to literally trick Littlefinger when they could have just asked Bran?
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I don't even need to say it anymore.
It's implying that Bran told them what was up probably when he got there, and they were like, "Damn!" But Sansa maybe was hesitant because of her connection to Littlefinger, but still kind of fucking hates him, and took some time to decide to do this. But they put on a play for Littlefinger even when he wasn't around.
That makes
that makes no sense.
The scene,
it doesn't. It doesn't make any goddamn sense.
We said this last night. Is they like the scene with the faces? There's fucking no one watching. If you had like Littlefinger peeking in out of the window, fine. If you had some weird shit like faces like fall out of her backpack in like the Great Hall, and they're like,
she's
she's
just walking. She drops it. Oops.
Are you here to kill me? Oh my god, I'm so scared. Like. And Littlefinger's like,
my trapper keeper.
But there was absolutely nothing every scene with them was all in private, right? Everything was done in private without anyone else seeing. But clearly they conspired with the lords in the room. They got the maester on board. Bran, like everyone knew, but that just all happened off screen. But
literally,
what was shown on screen was them acting for us. So
literally, the only thing that we fucking needed was Littlefinger looking in at them at like one of those scenes. Any of them. Any of the alone scenes. We just needed one scene of Littlefinger looking creepy when he's looking at them.
Or those scenes could have happened off screen, and you could have just had the scenes with Sansa and Littlefinger where she goes to him and it's like, I found fucking faces. What the hell? She could have just been like, I'm scared. And then maybe you could have believed that. Like you didn't need, you didn't have to show us any of this other stuff if you wanted it to be a surprise. But
I mean, honestly, like, I'm kind of taking this as, like, a fuck you to all the people that, like, Dan and Dave saying fuck you to all the people that, like, think that they're shitting on Sansa because they just, like, played it like that and then they turned it around and they were like, oh, no, guys, we're so cool. We're actually feminists.
We got you.
Fuck you guys.
It is. But you know what? I saw people being like, ugh, they fucking killed Littlefinger just because they wanted to prop up Sansa. Fuck it. Like, people were pissed about that. Some people. Like,
no, I met people over the weekend that wanted Sansa to die.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's so
They're
many
like, we
of them.
can't wait. It's going to happen. I was like,
I can't believe they got rid of Master Plotter Littlefinger just so that Sansa could look cool for once. Like,
I mean, are you telling me that Arya doesn't just immediately, like, she goes to Bran, Bran's like, oh yeah, Littlefinger betrayed and basically resulted in the death of our father. Arya's just gonna immediately walk over to Littlefinger and kill him immediately.
Yeah, she wouldn't even think about it.
Yeah, and
She's
so
not a plotter, that one.
Yeah.
But I think
Sansa would have said, "Wait a second."
That she had to like show Sansa that Littlefinger is a little piece of shit, in case she didn't even know yet, and then they would have.
But it wouldn't be a dramatic reveal if they don't.
No.
Right.
Fuck the dramatic reveal, all right? I would have rather, throughout the season, we see the point of view from the start, kids. Like, okay, well, now we gotta out him. We gotta,
what do we do?
We gotta show the Lords of the Vale and Lords of the North, instead of just, how do you plead? Littlefinger, dun, dun, dun!
Right?
I believe she said Lord Baelish.
And everyone got their shitting grin. But I do think that this should have happened like in the timeline for it to make sense much sooner. and they still could have put in some sort of what's going to happen if they had done it a lot sooner.
This could have happened last episode. Like it
could have happened in like episode 4.
Like
whenever it was Arya showed up.
After like the Knights of the Vale come down and like, you know, Littlefinger serves his purpose in that respect. Like, where the fuck is like Robert Aaron? No one knows. And like, they could have like
he's at the Blood Gate.
He's still practicing his archery.
yeah. Winter hasn't come yet.
There's like turn me to the Vale on the like power of Robert Aaron, and they're just like, no.
Yeah, I'm the Lord Protector. You ain't shit in the North, buddy. That was great. I mean,
the one thing that drives me a little insane is that they don't really have any evidence to accuse someone like this. It's, I guess, Sansa's testimonial about like, oh yeah, I was totally lying before. He pushed my aunt out the moon door. But other than that, it's like, it's just Bran telling them this shit. Like, even if they believe it.
Sansa knows that he plotted to kill Jon Arryn and stuff. So Sansa knows that and knows that he killed Lysa. Like those are the two kind of things that really matter. He basically
enough to get the Vale
started this shit. And then when he's like, I deny that. No one could possibly know about that. Like no one here was in King's Landing. Which word of that could have easily spread because there was a ton of people in that room. But whatever. But definitely, Bran's like, here's what you did and here's what you said, and I guess he realizes that Bran somehow knows, but everyone else was probably just like, what's going on?
But if people don't believe Bran, he could just tell each person, oh, like their childhood memories or something, and then they would all just be freaked out, and then
Bran was like Lynn Corboy, you like gold and little boys, and that's all.
So Bran is just a mentalist now.
I'm sensing a J from this side of the room. J Harry's. Yeah, let's just finish that scene. Let's just put them both together, and then we'll circle back to what happened in between. So Sansa, she calls. She's looking real solemn up on the battlements of Winterfell and all cold. Bring my sister to the Great Hall. Like, oh, it's about to go down. And I still was like, this can't be what's going on. But I was legitimately like, oh fuck, they're about to try to kill Arya. It ain't happening, but they're about to try.
Well, I didn't think they were going to when she showed up armed.
Yeah, she showed up armed, and then they ring her in, and I guess like maybe if you try to disarm her, though, it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
but the whole play at this point was just too much. It was not what you would do. It was for the viewers. And it was, hey, so you're accused of treason and murder. You over there, Lord Baelish. Wah, wah, wah. And he tries everything. He kind of devolves pretty quickly here. He tries denying it and talking about how he did the right thing. And then, hey, we just need to, can we just go talk in private? Just me and you. We'll sort this out, baby. Baby, look. Hey, officer, we're cool here. We're cool. I just need to talk to my girl. And then he just becomes a whimpering mess.
I did like how he was like, I did it because I loved your mother. And she's like, and you betrayed her. And he's like,
yeah.
And I loved you more than anyone else. He's like, and you betrayed me.
He's like, yeah, and you fucked me over. Like why it doesn't make sense why he did that.
You more than anyone else.
Yeah. It's like, so I guess if you love someone, you're going to betray them. We definitely need to get rid of you.
Right. He was like sealing his own tomb there.
Yeah. And then he's just like, but please, I'm such a sad character and I don't really know how to plot. And then Arya's like, yeah, you're dead. Which was a great, satisfying moment. And, I guess we have a new Lord Protector of the Vale.
I really like this scene outside of the context of the season that it's in.
Yeah, I love this scene.
It's just some of the stuff that led up to it didn't make a lot of sense, but the scene is fantastic to me.
Yeah.
I think all the actors sold it. Like, it was great. I feel like the whole little trickery where it has to be Lord Baelish was a little cheesy. Like,
I think they would have had to give me a reason why he wouldn't have been there had they not done it that way. Like, it's not like they had to trick him into being in the room. He barely leaves Sansa's side.
Yeah. And it's like you did notice that, like, I was like, oh well, none of his guards are there, right? And then I was like, oh no, wait, the Veil Men are like on the other half of the room. So it wasn't just to get him in a room with only Northerners. Yeah.
Take me back to the Veil right now. Fuck off.
Guys and gals, like, how do you see this working out for him in the actual books? Like,
well, he won't have like married Sansa off to a like sadistic rapist.
They probably
don't know what Harry the Heir is like.
He's probably much cooler than Ramsay. I can safely say that. But
like
yeah, you're right.
Very,
You don't
very
know.
pessimistic view when you're like, oh, Harry the Heir sounds like another Ramsay.
Yeah. More like Harry the asshole.
But it might be an asshole, but not like a monster like Ramsay.
I feel like their story is so different at this point that it's not even worth really speculating on.
But you don't, like, if we get like a big Stark reunion and Bran can see all and like the knife doesn't
and Littlefinger's there.
I honestly don't think Bran is coming back in the books.
So,
I think they'll get the information some other way.
He's tree melding.
What I do wonder, I mean, in the books, like, here's the thing: is like if I'm gonna say what's gonna happen with Littlefinger in the books, I'm basically just going off of, I'm like reversing completely to where he's at in the books and going from there, because it's so different.
Right.
And I don't know if he makes it north. I don't know if that ever happens. I think the Veil might, but I feel like he has either lived out his usefulness in the books already, and his end is coming pretty quickly, or he's got like another master stroke that's actually going to make some sense and give him some power somewhere. I don't know.
Or maybe he'll just do like a season 6 and just like hang around for no reason. And
he's certainly not going to like go to Winterfell and then like, oh wait, Cersei's calling. I'll be right back. I got to go to King's Landing for a minute.
I think that, like the show, Sansa is Littlefinger's weakness. So I think that it will be somewhat similar in that maybe Sansa will have something to do with his death. How and where that happens, I think, will be very different.
I definitely think she'll be the force to bring him down. Yeah.
Do you think like the Harry the Heir marriage will be like similar, like in the rapiness with Ramsay?
I don't even want to
really
think
happy
about
and get
it.
married and live together.
I feel like I feel like
fair.
Harry isn't gonna last very long. I think Littlefinger's just using him to get even like basically get Sansa closer, because like she'll then be the Lady of the Eyrie, and he already thought he could use one Lady of the Eyrie, regardless of her husband. So he's probably just going to kill off Harry, but then I bet Sansa's going to out him and be like, he murdered the heir, and everyone's going to gasp, and she's going to.
So it does beg the question, though, in the books that Littlefinger is always he loves Cat, but he does betray Cat. So was he sad about the Red Wedding, or did he like believe that the forces around Robb would lose, and is he just trying to marry Sansa?
Yeah, well, I
Did
mean,
he
I
really
think
betray
in
Cat?
his, that's what I was gonna say, because in his mind, I don't think he betrayed Cat. In his mind, he betrayed Ned, and he's like, well, Cat's not gonna know, and I'm gonna be there
to get
for
the
her.
Cat.
Yeah,
I don't think he expected Cat to die.
It's betraying Cat, but to him, like, the best thing for Catelyn was him.
And he wasn't even involved with the Red Wedding, was he? It was just
No,
Tywin, Frey, and Bolton.
But even if he was, I don't think
he knew about
they
the
initially
shit,
meant to kill her.
Yeah, that's true.
No,
Only
one
after
of
she
the
goes
phrases
crazy.
said
Right.
like they weren't supposed to kill her because they were supposed to hold her hostage so they could take over River Run and yada yada yada. But she went like mad or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I doubt he wasn't involved in the Red Wedding just because he seems to be involved in every like little covert thing. And
I think he could have been involved, but I don't think Cat's death was part of the Red Wedding regardless. I think it happened there, but I don't think it was supposed to.
But
I mean, he's involved with her marriage to Tyrion.
Sansa's.
Yeah.
I don't know as if he wanted her to marry Tyrion, but I definitely think he didn't want her to leave for Highgarden. So that's why he gave her up.
I think he.
Yeah, but for what gain?
I don't know.
So she wouldn't leave because he can't get her back from Highgarden.
Right. So
He kind of sees her as like the key
yeah.
to all these different.
So
He's
he
like, oh
told
god,
the
I don't have
queen-
anyone in Highgarden.
So he told the queen about the plan to get Sansa away, and he didn't want her to leave because he had a plan to get her out of King's Landing.
Right. Where he was the one that was feeding poison into the Queen of Thorns' ear about Joffrey, and like, so he's playing like multi-level. He's playing the game.
He's actually devious.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
He's
but
playing
then
the game throughout the entire series too, and like
yeah.
that whole chaos is a ladder thing. I think that's probably when Sansa and Arya and Bran got together and was like, "Oh, this is what happened." Okay, well, let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
And
And
then,
I think Amin posted something on Facebook from either season 1 or season 2. I think it's season 1, and he was like, "This is when Littlefinger like started being stupid and was like useless or whatever." And it's the scene where, you know, he rolls up on, he's rolling through, and Cersei's like, "Hey, wait a minute!" And she's got the Kingsguard there, and they're chatting, and you know, and he's like, it's kind of weird when sometimes family members sleep together, and it's weird if people would ever find out about that. And knowledge is power, Cersei. And she's like, "All right, kill him." And like, he's like, "Wait a second, I don't want to die."
I always loved you.
Yeah. Like, I loved you the most, Cersei. No. But
Well, I think
in context, you're like, oh yeah, he's kind of always been this way.
because there's like the central problem of him in the show is in the book he's basically everyone's buddy. Like everyone likes him. He's super friendly. In the show,
Right.
they just put
everyone
on
like him.
He's useful to everyone, or he tries to be.
but he's not threatening. Well, if you watch the show, it's kind of like he's like has the creepy voice on. Like you wouldn't, if anyone sounded like that, I feel like you would know that they're about to stab you in the back, and you never trust them. But they just love that creepy voice. But
Yeah. All right. So do we want to say anything else about the execution of Littlefinger? Do we want to have like a little moment of silence? R.I.P. Littlefinger, which I think really actually happened 2 seasons ago. Yeah. Yeah. R.I.P. season 1 Littlefinger. So yeah, it was great. He was the one character I was like, just please don't let him through the end of the season. Like he's become so useless, and he's just there to cause problems now, which he doesn't even do very well anymore. So come on.
Right, he was actually interesting in the earlier seasons, right? Like
Right.
he was kind of
up to the whole,
confounding
like, we
other
had-
people's plans and
When we had the Dark Sansa thing and what was going to happen in the Vale, and like there was a moment there where like he really could have gone to that next level of what's he going to do, and he just was like,
I mean, Joffrey's dead.
yeah.
that
Before
was,
they were like, we have to follow the Jane Poole story. Like, oh no, what happened? Yeah. So let's rewind a minute because there's a scene in between those two that we missed though, and that was part of the tension, I guess, building up to this scene is where they're back on Dragonstone. And they're talking about heading north, and like the Unsullied can be up the King's Road in a fortnight, like, because whatever. I hope that they've somehow invested in warm clothes for them, though, because those guys run around naked, and they will not survive in the north.
They don't have any bones, so
Yeah, they're just callous skin like everywhere. Yeah, and then they
stand there in the cold till they die. They won't even complain.
Jorah strongly wants Dany to fly straight to King's Landing by herself, and
King's Landing, you mean Winterfell?
Or Winterfell. See, I wrote King's Landing on the damn thing. Yeah, anyway. She wants her to fly to Winterfell, and that's safer because I guess he thinks that it's winter, and people in the north, whatever is left in the north, is still going to be looking for a Targaryen because they're mad. I think most of them are probably dead at this point, but that's okay. And Jon makes the point that they should sail to White Harbor. White Harbor's back. Because it shows unity and it's great. And boat trip. He wants to get her alone on a boat. Come on. Yeah.
Hey, there's a lot of rock in the ocean. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. And so this is. I think that this was only for the purpose of. We just saw that they've set up like, ooh, is Arya going to die? And you're like, well, if Dany flies there, she can stop it. And then they're like, Jon's like, let's just take the slow boat. And you're like, no!
That whole flying there thing never occurred to me.
Yeah.
Like, they could stop Arya from dying. That never even crossed my mind.
I thought, because these scenes were sandwiched together, I thought that's what they were trying to do. But I don't know. And also, she could just, like, Jon's like, we need to be shown that we're together. Can't you just ride the dragon with her? You already did that once. Yeah, you
That's
can
what I
show up
was
together.
thinking.
Yeah, he
It's
rode
cool,
the
it's cool.
dragon with her.
They didn't ride the dragon together.
Yeah, he just wanted to ride.
He wasn't
other
on the
He
dragon.
touched the dragon.
He rode a horseback.
Oh well, other people rode the dragon
come
with her. That's
on.
But they were
But I'm
all
just
touchy
saying-
touchy.
yeah. People wanted to ride the dragon, and they can because Danny lets them. Like, it's cool. She could just take everyone anywhere they wanted to go.
No,
And then,
not everyone. Come on.
well, yeah, not all at the same time, probably, but one at a time, sure. And it would take her like an hour because whatever. So then we get to Jon is about to leave, and Theon has a moment and says, "Hey, can we chat for a second?" And we finally do something with Theon this season where he wants. I mean, he doesn't really even want Jon's forgiveness, I guess, but he just kind of wants to have a conversation.
person.
And he's like,
no,
Jon,
then be
you're
a better
cool.
person.
Jon still makes him a Stark
Yeah.
for some fucking reason. That's
You're so
fucking
cool,
retarded.
Jon. You're so cool. Well, no, but I think he explains his character very well here, saying that, like, look, I always felt like I was, I was with you guys. I was a Stark, but I was a Greyjoy, and that's the core of his character, being pulled, by these two families that are at odds. And then Jon tells him, like, you can be both. It's cool. And man, he needed to have this conversation a while ago, but yeah, things didn't go well for Theon. And then he says he has to go rescue his sister, and Jon's like, get out of here.
Then go fucking save her.
I'm like, why? You just said it, so you should already be there doing it, because that's how quickly we move. So get going. And he's off to have a fight with the one ship
Captain
that's
number
left
one.
in the Iron Fleet, in Yara's Iron Fleet.
Who
And
fucking
yeah,
hates him.
who beats the crap out of him, but then in the middle of the fight, he's confused that his groin kicks aren't working, which was like, what the hell are they doing? That
That would still really hurt.
yeah, no matter what, like, it's like he had an iron plate there or something.
Everybody
like,
in the bar erupted with laughter. Just say.
Really? Oh. I mean, like,
I was
didn't think it
really
funny.
hoping you'd say getting tipsy, but
I just thought, like, yeah, like, whatever. They're beating the crap out of each other. Anywhere you hit someone's gonna hurt. Like, but Theon had this look like, haha, I'm invincible, where I have no, genitals anymore. Like,
At first, I'm like, oh wow, this is like a really powerful, like, Steve Rogers. Come on, give me another.
yeah,
I can
he's
keep going. I can
standing
do
up
this
to
all
someone
day.
who
And I'm
can
like,
beat the
oh,
crap out of him.
good
Yeah.
on you, Theon. Character progression. And then they put it like dick joke in there, and I'm like, okay, all
One
right.
last dig at Theon, but it's whatever. It worked, and he gets his ship, and that's another plot. That's time to waste next season. Although
Everybody walked away. He had a concussion, passed out,
Here's
and drowned.
the major.
That was the end of the scene.
Yeah, they all have traumatic brain injuries. Here's the major problem with this: is that Theon is off to save Yara. Euron said he was going back to the Iron Islands. Euron is not going to the Iron Islands. Theon will arrive at the Iron Islands with no one there.
Oh my god.
And
I
then
didn't even think about
he will
that.
be crowned king in the
Yes.
absence of
He's going to show up and be
Euron.
like, hey, Euron said he was going to be here. So it may only serve to say he sees no one's there, and he comes back and tells them, like, yeah, my uncle didn't go home. Now, I do think that Jaime is going to tell them that anyway, so I don't know what's going on here, but he's probably going to somehow track down either an alive Yara, or she's already dead and he's going to track down Euron or something.
Maybe
I don't
Yara's
know.
still there. Like, maybe he just left her in the Iron Islands, and Theon's going to rescue her, and he's not going to be around.
She's married
No.
to the seal.
yeah, Yara's married to a seal, and it's gonna be awful.
Is it a mermaid in disguise?
What's
No,
on
that's
the seal
actually-
talk? I don't.
It's in the books. She's actually married to.
Or a
She
sea
didn't marry a
lion or
seal. They used the
Oh,
seal to stand in
Eric
for her.
Ironmaker.
She's gonna be
Like,
married to
whatever.
Varys, and they're gonna be like,
Really
"That's
fat guy."
enough."
No, but I'm saying that they would use the seal as like a stand-in for Euron because he's not there. Anyway.
Or he, like, cuts off both her arms and sews Finn's flippers in their place.
Okay,
Oh,
we're
God.
going too dark.
That's she's just
We're
in a
going too
cell
dark.
with
which he
flippers.
totally could because
Did you guys like this? Like, on the whole, did you like this whole bit with Theon? I know, Matt, you said you're like, what the fuck, he's a Stark, but I kind of disagree. I think that's some good stuff. And other than, like, the weird.
Why would John
humor
went
moment.
from like the only reason I'm not gonna kill you is what you did for Sansa. And then he's like, you know what? You're a Stark, bro.
Well,
yeah, but
I think
isn't that how Jon feels? Like, Jon was never really considered a Stark, but he definitely feels like one. And now he technically is because he's, the Lord of Winterfell. Not anymore. Or, well, no, he is Lord of Winterfell because he's
the king in the north.
Now he's like, I'm a Targaryen, so you're a Stark, but
he doesn't know that yet.
We're going to make things weird.
He's also had his competing alliances too, because he has the Night's Watch and he has the Wildlings, and he had his little thing with them.
Yeah, with Ygritte, and he didn't murder his own adopted brothers.
I do think he's being a little hero washed here, where it's like, oh no, Jon Snow is perfect and he'll forgive him because that's the right thing to do. Where I don't know as if that's something someone would do in that situation.
Well, I think only reason I kind of buy it is because they just came from their little meeting with Cersei, where he's like, well, okay, we can work together. And I think he's just in kind of a we're all going towards the goal mode. And him and Theon were friends. Theon was mostly hanging out, buddies.
They weren't friends.
No, but
he always said Theon was an ass. He hated Theon.
Yeah, but come on, it's like you have that brother.
He wasn't gonna kill Theon.
It's like you have that brother that you kind of hate, and you're like, I fucking hate him. But they had a lot of good times together. They did. He was more of Rob's best buddy, but
Damn it, Theon, I hate you, but I'll die for you, brother.
But yeah, he says, what does he say? He says I'll forgive. It's not my part to forgive everything, but I'll forgive. Whatever. So maybe
he said he forgives what he can.
He's forgiving what I can, so he's like, I just forgive that one time that you stole my shit or something. I don't know. You didn't do much to me.
The shot when Theon walks away to give himself his seawater baptism, I thought was actually really gorgeous.
I liked that.
Yeah.
That was a good touch.
Yeah, and that location is amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they have today they released the first. I guess it's a behind the thrones or something. I don't know. They're doing a 7-part behind the scenes thing, and that was one of the things they touched on was the locations for Dragonstone and everything, and the rock formations, and just they really did their job scouting that. I'm
so checked out on Theon. I just don't even care where his story goes at this point.
Well,
I honestly was
good.
I was honestly pretty touched by the scene between him and Jon, and then him by the water and splashing the salt water all over his face to reinstate him as a part Greyjoy.
Yeah.
The fight seemed ridiculous, but because he was losing, and then all of a sudden because he doesn't have balls, I'm winning
his
now.
fingers don't even all work. He can't make a fist.
Well, he was hitting him with a rock.
But honestly, other than that, I was happy about this. I was like, oh, we're putting Theon back in here. We're making some sense. So,
Yeah.
Kind of wish they would have just killed Theon. And
yeah. No
I just don't
just let him die.
Or no, I think I guess in the books he doesn't have that much different of a plot arc going, right? Right now he's tied up to Stance's wherever dungeon keep or wherever right before he fights Ramsay.
Oh, in the spoiler chapter?
Yeah. Well.
I was like, I don't remember that. I thought it was just you got to remember your name.
Oh, I mean,
wait, who was that? Was that supposed to be Stannis?
No, that was Southern Theon.
Southern Reek, yeah. The last we saw of him in the proper book, non-spoiler chapters, was him escaping Winterfell, right? With the
with Jane.
With Jane, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he meets his sister, and he says, "You got to remember your name."
But we're talking about spoiler chapters and leaks and Reek, and it all rhymes.
Well, I mean, Reek came out with the paperback version of Dance, didn't it? Or Reek came out with the hard version.
What?
Not the soft version.
Well, okay, there's a joke to be made. I'm just gonna pass over it though. Yeah. So let's move on from this Theon scene because it's getting depressing. So let's go back to King's Landing. This is actually King's Landing this time. And the Cersei was just joking. We see that Jaime is getting the Lannister men ready, and they're like, it's going to take us weeks to move, even though they seem to be pretty nimble. And he's like, you got 3 days. We're marching north. And Cersei's like, excuse me, commander of my armies. We need to have a private word because you guys aren't going anywhere. And she tells him that she's buying the Golden Company because the Iron Fleet, she paid them and I guess is getting a loan for the Golden Company and going back into debt.
Iron Bank.
The Iron Bank. Euron's fleet is what happened. Euron's fleet is going to get them because they need to save some money on boats. So they sent Euron. And all of his men are just going to hang out somewhere, I guess. And then we get the scene with Jaime being like, look, I've given my oath. Like, the undead is a serious threat. I'm leaving. And she has Gregor pull out his sword, then pull it out a little more, and is like, no one walks away from me. And he's like, I don't believe you, and walks away from
and
her.
he was like, loophole, and he ran.
Jaime out. And yeah, he the one person that I guess can call her bluff is Jaime. So he leaves, and there's snow falling on the Crown Lands, and he's covering up his hand because his gold hand feels very cold, so he has to put a glove on it. I don't know what that was about.
No, that's so no one could recognize him, dummy.
But
No, I think it's just like signifying that he's no longer like tied with Cersei.
oh, maybe
No,
he's
because
like,
he'd
I'm
take
not a
his gold
Lannister.
hand off if he's never.
It's the
Like,
only hand he has,
but
man.
he has to
Still
have
needs
it for
to think that he has
it's
a
not a
hand.
hand, friend.
Come on.
It's just a fucking like
He can
thing
pawn
that
it.
he can.
The triangle is
Shit.
complete. All 3 Lannisters are dark now.
No, Jaime's totally gone light. I mean, come on. He's put on his Jedi hood and is heading out. But he seemed to be
He said he'll
quite
go
dressed
light.
down.
Right? Yeah.
And why
No?
is he not? Yeah, he is Azor Ahai. Why is he not like having people go with him or something?
Or why isn't he not stopped by Cersei from leaving? Or...
Well, because if she was going to stop him, she'd stop it right there with Gregor. So like he made it clear he's out, and so it's either kill him or just let it be, and she chooses to let it be. And now Lord Commander Qyburn steps forward. Yeah, I thought for sure, we mentioned this earlier, I thought for sure that Bronn would run off with him.
Run off with him. Make it sound like they're in love.
Maybe they are.
Ron,
they
come
are,
with me.
They are some serious bros.
You know how the Ice Dragons getting put down is fucking Qyburn's catapult, except with dragon glass.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
not a
no, they're
catapult,
gonna
okay.
coat it with wildfire because that'll work.
Yeah.
Is
It'll be
Qyburn
like
gonna be the secret hero of the saga?
he will be.
Gosh.
That'd be
I'm like,
fun.
hold on.
I'm really hoping
He's like,
that at
science
some
wins.
point, I'm hoping at some point Qyburn shows up and he's like, I have something to show you, and he's just undead himself. He's like, I did it. We can live forever, Cersei. Oh my gosh, they defeat the Night King and they come back south to get King's Landing, and she's already turned the whole city into zombies that she controls. That's what this show will do.
But who thought that?
It'll be like meta political. Like everyone's like, we love King Cersei, or else she'll kill us. We love. No, anyone? No. All right.
Sit down, man.
No.
So who thought that?
I'll sit down now.
What were you
thought
saying,
that-
Alexi?
Who thought that Cersei would actually die? Because
You mean
I was
Jaime?
pretty.
You mean Jaime?
Oh no, I thought that Cersei was gonna die. I thought that was gonna be the whole.
Yeah, he
Valley.
mispronounced Cersei.
Oh, like right there?
Yeah, I thought it was gonna go down right there, and I was really disappointed. I don't know.
I thought she would die before the end of the season until like an episode or two ago. But yeah, right there, I was worried that Jaime, I don't know if he was going to die, but I thought like he was going to at least have to fight the mountain.
Yeah.
So Jaime chokes her to
his head
death,
was
and the
coming
mountain
right
just puts
off.
his sword away and shrugs.
Yeah. Or no, like the mountain comes after him, and yeah, he just puts the gold hand on Cersei's throat to like, oh, you don't want to kill her too, and the mountain kills both of them. And then the mountain doesn't know what to
His
do.
fucking brother stepped up to him, and he didn't even. with the sword.
Yeah. Well, again, the undead dude, in the chains and stuff is running up. No one does anything. So I don't know.
I was pissed about this scene only because I predicted that Jaime was going to die, and then he didn't die.
It was so close.
Wow.
I actually thought she was going to do it.
Yeah,
I thought I was going to be prophetic there for a minute.
I think we said the other night, like, this was the most kind of tension that I felt in any of the scenes. Like, someone was going to die. Like, I thought, I thought they really sold it. The Jaime's actor, I can't, whatever his name is.
Nikolai Costa-Waldau.
That's right, the Costa one. He that guy, the Kaz. Yeah, no, he really sold
that
like
guy.
The
He's
pain,
that guy's
the pain
going
and the anguish. Well, he already did that like Egyptian gods movie, which was not great. So we'll see.
Was not good. But
It was
did you
not.
see with the girls, the fucking
The other girl? The one where he's like dating 3 different girls?
yes.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
God damn it.
He's like married to Cameron Diaz or something, but he was dating like the famous chick with the big tits.
It's some
and he's
generic
dating
rom-com.
another one.
Is that what it is?
Huh?
Is it like a romantic comedy or something? Or what are we talking about?
No, it's more like girls get together to like, even though they're
like vengeance.
fucking the same guy at one point, they got together and paid him back.
What are we talking about?
I guess some movie. I'm not sure, Casey. I'm not sure. This is all going to be cut, so it's okay.
Should we go back to the scene?
Yeah.
That was so rambling.
So, in true VOK fashion. So, Jaime has left for Winterfell, I guess. He said he's going north to help. And do we think that he'll be welcomed? Certainly Brienne will vouch for him.
He'll be by himself.
Yeah.
I think Jon might be like, fuck it, we need everyone.
Oh, I think several people will be like, great, and he's going to come with information and everything. Tyrion will be glad to see him. But there will be some people that'll be Kingslayer, Dany especially, I think is going to have a hard time with this. So, what do you think?
She's not.
She
Seemed
won't
to have
care.
a hard time with
She had a hard time with Jon.
the son of the guy that overthrew her father.
Yeah, at this point, the character conflicts are so truncated and just checking boxes. I feel like this is a conflict that'll be resolved within one conversation, if it happens.
Yeah.
I don't think you've been watching the show.
It happened
They never solve anything with one conversation. They have to string it out through the whole season.
Sorry.
So, do you? I mean, I guess this is hard to relate, but I say a lot of people think Jaime's the Valonqar, right? So, is this lead to theories that someone else is the Valonqar? As it seems unlikely that Jaime would kill Cersei now if he's just going to join Team Jon and Dany.
It's the atopic pregnancy that Cersei currently has.
You think she'll die in childbirth?
No, before that. But it'll be the younger brother of Tommen and Joff.
Yeah, it'll just turn into like a zombie baby because she'll have a miscarriage and it'll crawl out of her stomach like Alien and choke her to death.
Oh my god.
I said atopic pregnancy.
Yeah, probably that.
There.
Or not,
There's
guys.
no
Or not.
Valonqar. There's no
Who said that
Valonqar
anyway?
theory.
Yeah, was that in? Did they do the prophecies on that?
They did the prophecy. They just didn't include the Valonqar part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was saying. Is when we saw Maggie the Frog or whatever. I don't think they actually did that one.
So they
kinda
really
don't
could
think
just
it matters.
leave it open to whoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in the early seasons, they did everything.
Which
They
now
talked
is
about Tysha, and they did everything. They left themselves options they just dropped. In the later seasons, they closed a lot of doors way ahead of time.
They didn't hold the door.
Hodor!
Or hold the door.
Now you just made me remember that Hodor's dead, and I'm kind of pissed because Summer also
Oh,
died.
Hodor.
And hashtag where's Ghost?
I hope we see White Hodor.
Where
And
is
White
Ghost?
Summer running right next to him.
Oh.
No, Summer was pulled
Oh my
apart.
god.
Pulled apart. You see that stop him? That dude was crawling around with no legs. Just a dire wolf crawling around.
It's gonna be an other that just has Summer's head as a weapon. That's what it's gonna be.
I wonder if that wasn't a polar bear. That was Summer.
The Summer wasn't white.
That finally got some budget and morphed into a polar bear. Okay, let's keep the momentum here because we're doing so great. We move forward to Sam, who he was absent last episode, right? Because he had pieced out and was heading towards Winterfell. And he shows up unannounced, doesn't meet anyone, but goes straight to Bran's room to say hi. And Bran is like, hey, it's me, Samuel Tarly. I remember all things. Okay. What? I became the three-eyed raven. Don't know what that means.
He's like, yeah, hey, weirdo, you helped us through the wall.
If you remember everything, you should know that you have to give people context.
I love how Sam's guy acted that part. He's like, oh, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's like,
it was so good.
What's going on? So now, oh, great. Now that you're finally here, I have to tell someone about Jon. It should come from you.
Yeah. What the You're skipping where he's like, they're on their way. They're coming back in a boat. He's like, oh, did you see that? He's like, just holds up a scroll. Like, no, they sent a raven.
Yeah. It's like, what do you think? Do you think I'm crazy? I have a note from a raven that says they're coming back. But yeah, I saw what you ate yesterday. Just saying. And you didn't. Much. You haven't passed it yet. You haven't passed it. So I think you need some fiber. Here, have some fiber. Yeah.
Your montage was disturbing.
I'm watching Jon and Dany have sex right now.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. So
we need to tell them they're on nephew. We definitely need to tell
like the Targaryen boat, like the only one that seems to be left. And Dany and Jon are sailing up there, and Jon kind of creeps his way to the Queen's cabin and just kind of knocks on the door and says, "What's up?" And well, he doesn't say anything. They just kind of they give those eyes.
Said, hey, girl.
All right, everybody in the bar was screaming at this point.
Meanwhile,
if the boat be a rock,
Tyrion's watching, and as Tyrion watches, he feels something that he doesn't understand. It's an urging he didn't know he had before, and he gives us a weird look. Like, is he jealous? Is he concerned? We're not really sure what's going on, but I equate this to Littlefinger's look at Sansa at the end of last season. It probably means like fuck all. Yeah, and then so we get this montage of them having sex over Bran's narration of like, he must know he's Aegon Targaryen, and it's like, oh, he's inside her now, dude. Like, I think he was watching, and he was like, shit, I should have told him sooner. Like, he was horrified.
He walks into Dany. He's like, "Don't do it, Jon."
It's me, Bran. You're related.
He just repeats over and over, "Don't do it, Jon. Don't do it, Jon. Don't do it, Jon."
It's like the Westeros version of Doc Brown, you know. Stop, Jon. Stop. Oh man, yeah. So we get that incest that has been hinted at all season, as the aunt and nephew who don't know each other get it on. Yeah, it's everyone. I do love how everyone on Twitter is like, "This is so gross. This is so creepy. Oh my gosh!" And then some people were loving it, but they're like, guys, you realize they're related?" And I'm like, "You guys have stopped bitching about Cersei and Jaime for a long time. Like, you've just gotten used to that. The Targaryens, at least, like this was a thing for them."
And they're both hot. But it's fine.
And it's not. They're not twins. They are aunt and nephew.
R plus L equals JD, or I'm sorry, AD. Now, but
I still like that theory. Yeah. Honestly,
it would be kind of cool. Actually, the show could have done it, but yeah, it'd be really weird.
But even there's dynasties like in Europe that did like there. In the Habsburg dynasty, there was like. I'm not sure if it was an uncle.
It's mostly cousins, right?
Yeah, but there was an uncle or an uncle marrying a niece. Like it's not completely even unheard of.
Amongst royalty, like how.
And they would produce a monster.
I mean,
half the guys had hemophilia. That was like the big Russian issue.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but it's like whatever. But it just cracks me up because they're like, oh, once they find out Dany's going to be so disgusted, and Jon. I'm like, Jon will probably need a minute, but Dany was like trained her whole life to marry her brother, So she was sort of like, she'll be more like, wait, is your claim better than mine? Hold on a second, we got to talk about this. He's like, wait, we're related and we just fucked. Yeah, that's fine. But is your claim better than mine? I feel like that's where they're going with this, which is stupid.
She'll be like, witch told me that I couldn't have children ever, and it'll be like, a witch fucking reawoke me from the dead. So
yeah, this is low on their weird shit-o-meter. I'm just saying.
My only complaint about this, like, I knew this was gonna happen. It was like, I don't think that the chemistry between Emilia Clarke and Kit Harington is like the best. But
really?
Other than like,
I think that was the best part about that part of the story.
Oh, Matt.
Weird little.
Yeah.
Matt.
Yeah, this has been the complaint all year. And someone on Facebook earlier said, well, because they're grossed out because they're related and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, the actors know that, but it's called acting. Like, if they're like, this is, I don't want to do this because this is going to be creepy. Like, they should fucking get over it and, like, actually make some chemistry happen.
I thought they had more chemistry in that photo shoot they did for that one magazine, like, years ago.
I don't think it's bothering the actors. Why would that bother them?
Would you want to make out with somebody you didn't want to make out with?
No. I don't mean like that. I mean,
that, like,
just because they say your characters are brother.
I'll make out with.
Right. Well, they posted that video today of them talking about, like, the fact that they're related, and they both were like gagging, like, it's so gross. I'm just saying maybe that's a reason why the chemistry sucked. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they just kind of were just not very good at it this year. But
yeah, I also thought like the whole 2 Aegon thing is a little weird. I thought that maybe they should have, like, I thought it was Aemon at first, and I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. It brings it back to Aemon at the wall, and I was like half crying, and then like I realized it was Aegon, and I was like, what the
fuck? Yeah. So why Aegon?
Has the show talked about Aegon #1? I mean, because the Red Viper must have talked about, or did he just say the children of Elia?
I think you killed their children.
I feel children. We'd have to go back. I could have sworn they were named at one point, but maybe they weren't. But no, it definitely says that they had a boy and a girl. They definitely.
Nobody's really checking up on it, so it doesn't really matter. They're not bringing back that other egg.
I said it when he met with Tyrion, like Elia, Aegon, her daughter, like there had to be something.
And on the show, you only know a few Targaryen names. Like Aegon is a big one that we know.
I mean, all the people. There was the people I was watching with. Someone was literally like, "Who's Aegon? Is that a name?" Like, I had to explain that he was the actual Aegon the Conqueror. So I feel like the average show watcher.
Really? Because they've said that so many times on the show. They talk about Aegon the Conqueror had 3 Aegon. They talked about it like even this season.
Most people who watch the show don't know all of the characters' names.
They think Dany's name is Khaleesi.
Right.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is Dany?
That's very true.
But the one thing that I wanted to...
They probably couldn't tell you it's like Peter Baelish. It's just Littlefinger Baelish.
Yeah, it's just Littlefinger.
They call him Peter Baelish a lot in the show.
No,
not recently.
Baelish or Littlefinger.
Yeah.
They might not know it's Peter, but I know they know Lord Baelish. Everybody calls him that in like polite society.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think they might not know Peter. That's what I meant.
Peter.
The spider.
No, this is off topic, but I do love, one of my favorite things is seeing who a pure show watcher is in comments on whatever social media, just based on purely how they spell character names. And so Cersei would be like,
yes.
like that.
You think they'd put that C in there?
Cersei.
I saw that yesterday.
Oh my gosh, like Jorah and like so many different names that are just
I'm the worst at spelling, and I would, if I had never read the books, I would definitely spell it like Sir Sissy at the first spelling right there.
Casey, you were trying to say something earlier.
No, I was just gonna be put a lighter note on this. So I saw it on Twitter. Or I think it was actually Facebook, because this is too long to be on Twitter. But it's a quote that Aemon says in the books, and I think it ties everything together, as far as this Jon Dany scene and everything that happened with Rhaegar and Lyanna. But it's from Aemon, and it says, "What is honor compared to a woman's love? What is duty against the feel of a newborn son in your arms, or the memory of a brother's smile? Wind and words, wind and words. We are only human, and the gods have fashioned us for love. That is our great glory and our great tragedy." And I think that's kind of the point, because I think that, I think this is definitely like what George is going for at the end. So it's a little, makes it more romantic.
Yes. Aemon is the most beautiful character in this whole book. Nobody understands.
This whole thing is very...
that was also in like Game of Thrones, and like when we're trying to like learn about this whole world, and he did that before. I think, wasn't that before we learned he was Aegon Targaryen?
What did you just say, Matt?
Oh man, Matt, you should write stuff down and then read it, and then see if it makes sense.
Sorry. No. That was like during the world building part of this book, and that was before we knew he was actually a Targaryen. Like, he was trying to like talk about the Night's Watch and like...
Oh, Aemon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did I fuck that up completely?
I get what you're saying now.
Katie, you were saying something?
I'm going to steal Michal's... she's not here to say it first, but this whole thing is very, like, once in Future King. Like, two people unknowingly fuck each other and produce some, I don't know, destined child, and they don't know they're related. It's just, it feels very sad and clandestine, and I like it.
They didn't unknowingly fuck each other. They were
not unknowingly fuck each other.
Consent was given.
I mean, they don't know they're related.
Slipped and fell and stuck my dick in a Danny.
But the thing I do want to talk about is, what do we think is up with Tyrion in the hall?
Well, perfect. I think he made a deal with Cersei.
There is a really killed. I did read a BuzzFeed article theory about this, and I know it's BuzzFeed, I know. But it does explain like how maybe Tyrion and Cersei talked about having some kind of alliance and maybe possibly marrying Jon to somebody else. So like I think Cersei, to make it look like it was Jon's son.
He's never doing that.
Johnson. I know. Tyrion has no authority over Jon either.
Tyrion's like, look, I just need Dragon Queen to be available for me. That's all.
Yeah.
It's more like I wondered if this whole thing is supposed to suggest that he is in love with Dany, and that recolors all of their interactions that they've had this far.
Oh my God. They're just gonna have Jorah being like, dude, don't do it. I'm telling you, it's not gonna go well.
I don't want it to happen, but it does make it seem like maybe he's pining for her, or he's just lonely and maybe was hoping for something. It's really hard to understand, like, to guess at what the point of him listening to them having sex is supposed to be.
Right.
They just want us to see that, like, oh, this is a problem, because after the episode, they're like, Tyrion's looking at him, and you can see this is going to cause issues when they find out, oh my gosh, it's going to be such a huge deal. But this looks exactly like the end of last season when Sansa and Jon are like, you be king. No, you be king. You be the queen, whatever. And they name him king of the north, and then, like, Littlefinger gives Sansa this look like, hey, and she gives him this kind of worried look, and you're like, oh no. And then after the episode last year, they were like, that's going to come up. It's going to be terrible. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And, like, the conflict between Sansa and Jon was like, it happened, but, like, they were kind of reasonable and got over it really quick, you know?
Wait, what's going to come up is big?
What's going to come up is a lot of things. But I don't know if it's going to be, like, Tyrion trying to drive a wedge in them because he's in love with them and we get this love triangle. People are saying that doesn't make any sense to me. If he cut some kind of deal with Cersei, I also don't get how that makes sense. I think they just wanted us to see that someone was paying attention to this and worrying about it, and you should worry too, and that's it.
See, that would make sense if it had been built up to where Tyrion is worried about them getting closer and the potential, the problems of marrying of Dany. I don't know. Like getting involved in someone else who isn't a useful chess piece. I don't know. Like,
but he is useful, unlike Dario.
Yeah,
but he's an ally. That's the whole thing. Is like, you don't marry your, you don't marry. What did Tywin say? You don't marry your kids to your servants. You know, it would be throwing away useful.
In peacetime, yeah.
I feel like he said a lion doesn't marry sheep or something like that.
I'm drawing at straws because it's not been set up this season of why.
Yeah,
like,
but how
D&D
much
can
else
say whatever-
hasn't been set up this season?
I know. It's like D&D can say whatever they want. It's like I looked at numerous responses and people were like, "What the hell is Tyrion doing in the hallway?" And it's like, I don't know. The emotions.
I mean, on the surface, it might be just like hidden. I feel like it might be a callback to like him asking her like, "Who's the next heir gonna be?" And like, I think he kind of knows Jon's situation, and he's like, "They're not gonna have kids. We're fucked."
I don't
I
think
just feel
he
like
was
they need
thinking
to
about
build-
Jon. I think he was thinking about like him, and that's what led him to the Lannisters. Like, I didn't want to kill my family. I just want to kill all of you fuckers, and then make my own legacy. And then Cersei was like, and then he was like, "Oh, you're pregnant, so now, okay, like I could probably fuck you up and kill you and Jaime and father because you guys all shit on me, but like I think every progeny from now on should be okay."
Can't he just have his own Lannister heir?
Yeah, that seems like it could happen.
I'm assuming he's not shooting blanks. Maybe that's what he's going down there to talk to her about. I could give you an heir. But she was already on top of that. So I think they just have to set up some kind of conflict on their side of the wall for next season. You know what I mean?
What do you mean their side of the wall? There's only
there's no
one
wall
side of the
anymore.
wall.
The wall's still there. It's just a little chunk that was gone. Tormund was standing on the edge.
And Beric.
I think like they just need some kind of conflict for them to have. Otherwise, it's just them fighting against the White Walkers. You can't make a whole season out of that. They need to be bickering in some way, just because that's how they need to do things.
Right.
Well, no,
if
they
you
have
didn't
to
still
figure
have
out
Cersei
the
to deal with. If you'd killed her this season, you're right. They'd have to have some filler. I can't believe we burnt away like 80% of like what was left in the book and skipped away ahead, and we're still putting in filler. Like, what is going on?
I can't believe we burnt away with ice fire anything.
Should we move on to the wall then?
Yeah.
No, because first sisters got a bond, yo.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
so
tag
we get
survives, wolf dies.
we
blah,
get
blah,
the
blah.
scene
Next
with Sansa and Arya, which I assume is Bran looking into the past and seeing this scene that happened in episode 3, because this is when this should have happened. They talk about how, like, I mean, even the dialogue here doesn't fit, because if they were plotting together all season, and then she's like, "Well, now you'll never be the Lady of Winterfell,"
No,
and Arya's like, "Oh yeah, that's okay."
sense.
It's like, wouldn't you have already discussed this? Like,
Doesn't make any fucking sense.
But it was good that they were like, "Hey, like that, Father always said, lone wolf dies, and we got to stick together." And like, I liked that. I thought this was nice, and the two of them seem to hang out a lot in real life, and they got to be friends. They can't be like pretend killing each other on the show. Damn it!
I don't give a shit what their real life thing is. They're supposed to be here.
Yeah, well, their
entertaining
real life is the reason that we got Ed
characters.
Sheeran. Okay,
Oh, remember Ed Sheeran?
Guys.
I
like
do.
Ed Sheeran.
Pepperidge Farm remembers Ed Sheeran.
I feel like that's better than liking Ballers. But that's just me.
Oh, fuck you.
For all I know, it's a really good show. I don't know.
I like The Rock. It's sports Entourage, and Entourage was like cool for a season, but then it's the same thing
Hey, Adam,
over and over
what's
again.
your favorite part about The Rock?
My favorite part about The Rock probably his abs.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. I love, he's got that 8-pack. Oh, 9-pack right in the middle.
I think Varley's about to get off over there.
Varley sounds like The Rock.
Anyway, they have their little bonding moment. Finally, it's fine. And then we go to Bran.
I cried.
You cried? Aw.
Is it fine?
It was the field.
So you guys were at the watch party, by the way. So
Not really.
Not really.
It's a kind of a long story. But
we've been going for 2 hours and 13 minutes, so
yeah,
the short version.
Adam, feel free to cut this out. No, we were supposed to go to the watch party, and then the Bell House, the place that we were supposed to go, backed out on the group. So we didn't have a. So they didn't have a venue, and then because of that, History of Westeros backed out. So then McCall, Greg, and I all felt like we don't really know like the people that are hosting, because we don't really know Game of Thrones, and none of us knew the Manimals. So we were like, what do we do? So
how is this the first we're hearing about this? How is this the first we're hearing about this?
Because we all planned this in the background. We didn't want to like plan it on the thread with everybody else that's not listening to us.
Okay. Because you guys were like at trivia and shit, and I was like, they're having bomb-ass trivia at the thing.
We did. It was at a bar. We went to
It looked like a bar.
We did end up going to a viewing party that was at a different bar in Brooklyn. So it all worked out.
Okay. Well, it was less about where you were and more about the fact that you were there with an audience.
Yeah.
Without us.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So how did they enjoy this? Were they like, ugh, Sansa's still alive, or were they like, did they seem to enjoy it? How did the masses take this scene?
They seemed pretty indifferent. Like when the Littlefinger, the Littlefinger dying scene, everybody was cheering. Like everyone was like, "Fuck yeah, this is great. This is awesome." That doesn't mean that. Like I heard people earlier in the day who were like, "Fuck Sansa, I want her to die." So.
Like, but not anymore. Not anymore.
Shit. Like, and when you hear that in person, I don't have my like, oh, but Sansa. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna talk about it. No, everybody was pretty like happy with that scene going down, I think, or like content, especially right after the Jon Dany sexiness. So.
Oh.
People were where I was.
They were coming down from that high.
People were cheering quite a bit for that.
Yeah. So we move on to Bran, and we get Bran for like half a second so that we can see him in Ravens. Ravens flying over Eastwatch, just kind of seeing what's going on. And that fades to an actual shot of Eastwatch, where you've got Beric and Tormund about to piss off the wall together because they're bros now. And all of a sudden, the army of the undead just starts coming out of the forest. And like, oh, crap, that's terrible. Let's get ready to fight, or maybe send a raven. I don't know. But nope, pretty soon they hear something and they're like, oh, fuck, it's the dragon. Quickly, get down the wall, because that'll happen quickly. And he breathes fire, I want to say.
Magic.
But maybe magic. I mean, I would think that it's blue fire.
Blue jizz.
Because blue fire is hotter
brought
than
down
fire,
the wall.
So that's the
Matt,
idea.
you've been angry this whole like 2 hours.
Hey, Kanye, let me finish. Okay?
It's been like a day and 2 hours, guys. It hasn't just been 2 hours.
Yeah, so
Jon Snow does not like whites.
So undead Viserion shows up, and just so you know, he's undead. He's got like holes in his wings and stuff, I guess, for whatever reason, just to add to the look. And Night King is riding that shit, but he's bored as fuck, like usual. He's got that look on his face, like I'm riding a dragon, but man, I just gotta get this done. I'm punching the clock. Got to get this wall down. Like damn. And
how does a dragon work with holes in its wings? I don't understand it.
It did seem to fly really fast.
It adds aerodynamics. Don't question it. So yeah, then he's breathing some shit out of his belly. We still aren't sure if it's fire. If it is, and I think this is the logic of the people that make the show, blue flame is the fucking hottest flame, so it would burn the wall. Great,
I wish it had moons and stars in it. That would have made me.
It's wizard's fire.
White flame, because
it could be like a magic thing.
Blue flame is.
But we don't see anything actually catch fire. We just see the wall melt, and it looks like it's glowing on the inside, which could be this hot fire. But
maybe it's really, really cold, and it's just like freezing hitting the wall.
Super freezing the ice.
Yeah, and the ice is brittle and it's just shattering. I don't know.
Well, I don't know from the force of it, because the thing is actually the ice doesn't melt. If you look at it,
it like
just
blasts
shatters
apart.
Yeah,
it's like shooting apart everywhere. You would expect fire to be like a slow burn, and then it melts, and then like a whole blast through it, and the whole thing melts and falls over. And this was just chipping and blowing up everywhere like an explosion. And I don't think they put this much thought into it. I really don't. But obviously we're going to, because that's what we do.
So I have a theory, because I do. And what if it's static electricity that's keeping... Shut up, let me finish.
He's like the Emperor. It's like the Emperor from Star Wars.
Wait a minute, are you trying to, like, Tesla the wall down?
Guys, let her finish. Jesus.
Yeah, all you Kanye's, shut up.
But what if that's what's keeping all the whites?
Hold on.
Wait, I want to hear this.
Okay, no. So like, what if that's keeping the whites and the others alive? Static electricity.
Okay, now everyone can laugh at it.
Then Lord Qyburn will be the hero of us all.
But static electricity could have let all the particles of the...
God.
Did you see when he was walking out on the bridge, he like rubbed his feet on it a lot, and then all those people came back alive?
And then he touched the doorknob, like, ow!
Are you trying to say it's like the dust from like the Golden Compass or something?
No, it just all explodes. All the snow.
Okay.
Makes no sense. Fun.
I tried.
Okay, I mean, people are overthinking the shit out of this right now. I read an article earlier that was like, what if, because of the undead nature of the dragon, like this chemical that's too long, and I'm not going to try to pronounce it, like dihoxy, blah, 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 bullshit, is like in his belly, and that's what's making that blue flame, because that chemical totally makes flames. It was this whole thing about like the science of the magic dragon flame, and I didn't know what to do.
There's a science on the other end, which is making...
They just have a fire pouch and they spit out the fire. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Is Tormund dead?
I don't.
It's
I think
blue
he was on the edge of the wall.
No.
Because he was like
Did
running.
you see him die?
No, he was running, and then it like fell behind him.
Yeah, he like
And
ran
then
down the
like
wall.
that section of the wall stayed up.
There was no section of the wall that was still up, though. They
Yes,
were
there
running
was.
No,
to the right.
Well,
If they were running there, I think they were running towards the end of the wall, and everything to the sea fell. But maybe they were running the other way, and they're just going to run all the way to
And
Castle
also,
Black,
there's
which would
a
be
very
stupid.
narrow path that they were walking, which doesn't
Yeah.
make fucking...
What I feel like is going to happen is we're going to get a flashback, and we're going to see that both him and Tormund grabbed a nicely shaped piece of ice as it was falling, and they triple X their way down the mountain into the water. Like, oh, we've got to go tell Jon. Like, just snowboarded the whole way down that thing.
I would be really sad if Tormund died at this point. I mean, he doesn't have much to do, but
Brienne.
I've realized I'm like his near death in the previous episode made me realize that
God.
I've grown to love him.
Yes.
Yes.
I
And
wanna
he has
keep-
unfinished
with
business.
We can
Like,
have a love triangle.
No, just keep his gross pube beard away from Brienne.
no, but it's a love square now because
Hey.
Jamie's
No,
entering it
that-
too.
Beard is gonna be like right
the fourth
into
one?
a lore.
Sandor.
What?
Have y'all seen the actor without his beard? It's crazy.
No. Because he
Yeah,
has it on
it's
normally.
different.
He is the Wyndham Wizard.
I got
Okay.
it. I got it right here. It's insane. He looks like a child.
No, it looks gross.
Are you sure there's not a picture of him like 30 years ago?
Oh God,
He looks like the Beast from Beauty and the
Guys.
Beast.
guys!
He's got a
it's
very square
Dario.
jaw.
Like not
the
the Beast
real
part, like the
Dario.
actual prince.
Oh my
I think
God.
Casey's in love.
Oh my god. Oh, that's
He
the
looks
wrong
like the
thoughts.
prince from Beauty and the Beast.
Who's kind
Somebody-
of the worst, right?
You do realize that somebody actually has made this graphic already for you, Casey. He's got it right here.
Wait, really?
Oh God! Oh God!
Yes.
So when did him and Emma Watson get together?
I gotta put these in the video. Oh man, I never saw that one. Like this is him. This is him. How did he cast for this? Did he like just shave his pubes and put him on his face?
Did you see the video of his casting?
No.
It's literally, there's like a clip that Game of Thrones used at one of the Comic Cons where like he eats a carrot and then spits it out, and that's it.
Yeah, that was his name.
And you're like, oh, he's Tormund, all right.
He's
You like tall
Icelandic.
ladies? Yep.
He probably just got it based on the fact that he actually sounds like what you'd expect a wildling to sound like. Vaguely Icelandic.
He's so sexy.
Oh
So,
man.
The scene
Oh.
the scene itself, I thought it was very exciting, but I also thought it was a letdown that only part of the wall went down. Honestly,
You can't. Night King is busy. You can't expect him to take the whole wall down.
I wanted
long
the
way
whole
to
damn
fly
wall
that
to
Let
go
everyone
down.
know they're coming, and then Dollar Sign will be dead. No. You're not having Ed. He's Lord Commander. Oh God.
Oh, Matt just passed out and died.
The amount
Fell
of
on all
beer
the
bottles
bottles
I
of
just
beer
heard
Sunday
explains
night.
a lot.
Still alive.
Yeah, so I love this. This is great. We see this dragon. We see that he breathes maybe flame. It's still not clear. We see Night King, and man, like the CG is great, but like give him like a grin or something. Make him look meaner. I don't. Fuck,
He would look
man.
at a place with a grin at this point.
The face doesn't change. Like I don't know. It's creepy. Maybe his eyes can glaze over or something.
The
But
CGI
I
kind
did
of
not
felt
expect. I did
Oh,
not
sorry.
expect this. I did not expect. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but I did not expect like, oh, a dragon just shows up and burns through the wall. There it is. We're done. It feels cheap. This is not happening in the book, is it?
I feel like it's
Didn't
less
we
cheap
talk-
than
oh, we
a
talked about it
horn
the other
blowing
day.
the wall down.
Yeah, I don't know if the horn thing is happening either, but I would think there's a battle or something, right? Yeah,
No,
I don't
We
know.
talked about it on the
Kyber's
last.
gonna fucking have his ballista with like dragon glass, and he's gonna be like, "Look at this! This is how we take down the dragons." That'll be fine.
Okay.
Whatever.
We talked about it the other
Whatever, yeah.
day. Like after the episode, he says that when we decided this is how the wall was
Right?
gonna come
Yeah.
down. They didn't say
Yeah.
when George told us this is how the wall was going to come down. This is how we
No,
decided
no,
to film it.
But
Okay.
they said like, well, we had these dragons, and it's just natural. Dragons fire, they burn the wall. And I'm like, yeah, that's some pretty straightforward logic. But it also just feels really cheap.
I mean, this does make sense in like, have you guys seen that map floating around that like shows like from Hardhome how far Jon has traveled versus how far the White Walkers have traveled?
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
So this makes sense because they were probably all wandering around like, how the fuck are we gonna get past the wall? Then they got a dragon, and now they had their answer.
Well, but I guess the whole thing I thought that there was magic in the wall that kept them out. Like, there's magic, and you can't get in because of the wall, and like they could have just melted it, or they could have gone around with like those chains that they had. They could have used the chains to just get around Eastwatch.
Can we talk about how we found out they're afraid of water? How did they get the chains
I
down
don't-
there?
I don't know if we found out they're
They had to
afraid of
sacrifice
water.
some
They're
of
just
them.
saying they haven't
They
seen
can't
him go in
swim.
the water.
Yeah, like I do like the Theon's Iron Men. Like their plan was like, we're just gonna find a small island and kill all the men. Sit this one out. You know, like that's horrible, but also probably a good plan. Probably a good plan. Go somewhere warmer.
I just have an idea. What if instead of having them pull it out with chains, they just froze the whole lake and then had all the whites just chipping at the ice until the dragon was exposed? I feel like that'd been cool.
Yeah.
And it'd
Well,
be
I
just-
mean, I thought it just Night's King just fucking put his hand out and raise him from the dead. Because I don't think he has to physically touch everyone, and he just fly out of the water.
Somebody,
Yeah.
I think Sarah said that's how he turned the little baby, and like the blueness of the eyes, something like that, was like the baby and not like the not like the whites.
So the dragon is an actual White Walker, and it's not
So
just a white.
yeah, the dragon actually has some sentience to it instead of just being a mindless zombie.
Oh God, that's scary.
Yeah.
Casey is shocked.
I don't know if it was Sarah that said that, but I'll give her credit for it.
I felt like they really just wanted to have that scene at the end where, they touched him and ooh, the eye opened up, and oh, it's a blue eye, and like it was a good visual, but that totally makes sense that that he's different. Yeah, because I guess all of the whites do have blue eyes though. Like that's a thing. Like behind the scenes on the on that like ice battle, you see they're all wearing these like blue eye, like LED eye headset things. Like all the actors, you're like, oh, that's weird.
Well, the main difference is like it's not necessarily the blue eyes; it's the fact that the Night's King touched him to
personally
make.
Did the touch, yeah.
Yeah, the touching.
Of course, the baby. I don't
tell
think
me,
was
tell
dead.
me on the Dragon Doll where the Night's King touched you.
Well, I joined on the right note. What
Oh, in the blue eyes.
Are there really 13 people on this call?
No, they're just in the chat. In the chat, not in the call.
Yeah,
they were here earlier, and they said we don't want to be here when Greg gets here.
Okay.
So, Greg, tell us about the history of Westeros Party. How did it go?
No, tell us about your lemon cakes, man. And how many you gave.
I already told them that it wasn't a
Okay, I didn't know if it was being sarcastic.
Just give us our trivia question.
You don't know when
I'm just here for trivia, then I'm going to pass out. So. Yeah. I mean, I loved the episode. It was super fun to watch. But the more time goes by that I start thinking about stuff, like more little things start to bother me. But
don't think about it.
No, I'm not, and I'm just enjoying it. It was super fun to watch, and Lightning Ice Dragon was awesome, except for the holes in his wings, which he wouldn't be aerodynamic. I don't know how that happened, but
we just covered that. We just covered that.
Yeah. I got to the bookstore yesterday, and Dan was like, "It died like an hour ago. Why are there holes in its wings already?" I was like, "That's your one complaint from the episode."
He also just probably puked out a lot of his guts and stuff to make himself lighter to compensate. So, yeah, sure, whatever. So, do you think it was fire? You said like lightning
or static
magic. What do we think?
I'm going for lightning,
which is closer to static electricity. Casey is
like
justified.
flame-looking lightning.
But also, I just want to say that I was right in every single prediction I made. That like Sansa didn't die, Arya didn't kill her, Littlefinger died, no Lannisters died, and no major characters died except for Littlefinger, which I predicted.
Which is not a major character anymore. But
so,
yeah, well,
sounds like somebody watched the spoilers.
It's not that we didn't believe you, smart boy. But it's just that it didn't make sense.
No, but
it still doesn't make sense.
That's just because D&D are such great writers that they fooled all of you except for me.
Yeah, no, you had them pegged.
Indeed.
Which a lot of people have the same thing. They're like, "There's no way they're going to kill Sansa or Arya." I'm like, I think you're right, but also, they want that shock factor, and I guess they thought Littlefinger was the shock factor. Like, people have just been like, "Finally, he's dead. Let's move on."
No,
actually,
but I was
Dragon was the shock
I didn't
factor.
see that coming.
Shooting out static electricity.
Yeah.
It's blue, yo. It's blue.
So
Didn't see that coming.
I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. But like that one dragon or ice dragon.
The dragon was just rubbing its feet on the rug all the way.
Yeah,
to the
I feel like in the books we have to actually have like a conflict at the wall of some sort.
Lightning is static electricity. I win.
It's minuscule lightning, just like Magic Tavern podcast. Minuscule lightning.
Yeah. So Viserion cast magic missile. Anyway, let's. So we're basically. I think we're done here at the end. Yeah. Eastwatch is gone. Tormund has obviously survived. Obviously.
Is it that obvious? Because I was not sure, and that's another question.
Did you see him die, Greg?
No, but it showed him get to the end, and then like the wall caved away from his point.
Yeah, Barrack gave the oh shit look.
No, he should be dead. He should certainly be dead. But I bet they're the only two from Eastwatch that are alive.
He was on the part of the wall that didn't
I would bet
fall.
money.
I'm telling you.
It's either gonna be like I said, he surfed down on a block of ice into the water.
So he's probably gonna show up at Castle Black. That makes
or
sense.
Next season we see them and they're just on that little part of the wall that's hanging on, and then they run to Castle Black. And they see them like, oh shit, look at all the whites. And you're like, wait, how did they get there? And it won't matter.
Yeah, no, they're literally running.
Wait, did Greg get lemon cake?
Greg, kind of.
4.
Really?
Yeah, that's going to get cut out, Greg.
No, I know, Matt, you hated it. I still had a fun time watching it, but it was...
Most of us liked it.
Yeah.
So
it was so crazy just to see all of them in the same place, and the stuff with Theon was unforgivable. Like I just was like, why are they wasting 8 minutes with knees to the?
But he's a Stark
Word
now.
up. Word up.
well, the knee to the groin thing was stupid, but the
No, the
rest
whole
of the
thing was
Theon.
stupid because like he's a non.
No,
whole
I
wall's
liked
coming down.
some of it though. Come on.
But, like,
Yeah,
what's
I
the
didn't
point of
think
the Iron
the
Islands
Stark
at this point?
scene.
Like, it's the battle for the lives of everyone alive, and they're gonna go on a raiding mission to rescue Yara. Like,
Yeah, but he's got one boat. It's kind of pointless. And we also pointed out that
Greg.
that because Euron said
So
he's going
may
back to
less
the Iron
one
Islands, that means that Theon is going to run off to the Iron Islands, but Euron is actually not going to be there.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
like,
And Yara's probably not gonna be there. So.
yeah, she's probably long dead. So I don't know what's going on. But it was whatever. That'll be a problem for 2 years from now, I guess. I'm just glad that like they had a little bit of a moment for Theon, and he can die anytime now. So yeah, let's finish this up, and then we'll go on to
Right.
trivia.
How
Come
many
to
did
the
you
dark
give
side.
it? 0.5?
2.
2? Okay, all right.
A generous 2.
3.5.
Yeah. All right, guys. Okay. So, thank you for joining me for this extremely extended Dragon Cast. And it was great. It's been a great season for the most part. It also has been a season that didn't make a lot of sense. It's a bit of a contradiction. We loved it. We hated it. Yeah, so join us next week for episode 8. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. You can join us probably for the next month or so as we put out all of the podcasts and episodes that have been in the waiting, a lot of rereads, and there will be several other, I think, season 7 recaps. And
Maybe a Lord of the Rings fan commentary. Who knows?
Yeah, that Hobbit's coming out any day now. Lord of the Rings fan commentary.
I will host another book club at some point. We just have to actually do it, but there will be another VOK book club. I swear by ice and by fire.
We've got a lot coming, and if you're interested in those things that are non-Game of Thrones related, we'll have a lot of that going on, as well as some ice and fire shit. And if Winds of Winter ever drops, it's gonna go bananas around here. So
that's gonna be crazy pants. I think we're gonna try to do a Halloween thing, but
yeah, we're working on something for Halloween. We got so much stuff coming right now.
Are we? I should know that.
Yeah.
I should know that.
It'll be great for when in a month or two from now when we have no content to drop. Maybe we'll have some stuff saved up after we've all kind of worn ourselves out in the season here. But yeah, so check us out. Check out the YouTube, the WordPress, the all the various social media things that are out there somewhere. You can find them. But if you want to come chat with us, come to the Podcast Device and Fire forums. There's this thing called Google, and you can put in Vassals of Kingsgrave, and you'll find all of our shit, and that works out really well. So, but yeah, if you really want to talk with us, we'll be on the Podcast Device and Fire forums. That's kind of where we tend to gravitate. So, thank you guys, and we'll see you in season 8.
Bye.
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 Thanks, Adam.
Thanks.
see you in 2 years.
Way past my goddamn bedtime. I'm not sticking around for trivia.
It's 10 easy questions.
Damn it, it's 10
I don't
easy
even know how
questions.
to ask them because I just have the answers.
All
I
right,
forgot.
why don't we
Well,
do trivia first so Brett can stay here, and then we'll do stupid stuff.
Onward to trivia!
Wow.
I believe that's
Man, I'm not. No.
I believe that's hashtag Greg with the trivia.
They're
Greg?
easy questions. I didn't come up with these questions. This is just the trivia
Yeah,
that they
so
had.
explain where you got these questions from.
Yes,
What
a couple
went
of
down.
us went to the live showing, or it was a screening of the finale at Halyard's Bar in Brooklyn, and they did a trivia before the show. So
Yeah, mention
Just
VOK
go with-
and you get a free shot.
yeah,
got
there's
free
probably
beer.
like 100 people there, maybe like 15 teams or so, and we got first place. So
And we
So pretty good
dethroned,
crowd.
Yeah,
we
what
dethroned the
VOK
person that usually
stars
wins.
were-
we did. I went up to the guy
Oh.
afterwards, and I was like, "Sorry."
And so
I know
so
that's your
History
thing.
of Westeros was not there. They didn't have a
No.
thing at all then, huh?
Well, there
I was
ended
gonna
up
say
being a
like
thing
Aziz
with-
would have made very hard questions.
Yeah, there was a thing with Game of Owns and Manimals, but they weren't doing. The only thing that they were doing was watching the show. Like they said, like trivia and something else were canceled. So I think the live podcast portion. So we were kind of like,
That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So hit it with us, Greg. Well, I guess how are we gonna do this? Are we all just gonna like blurt out our answers?
Yeah, just like we usually do.
I'll be silent.
Okay. Excellent. All at once.
All right. Sorry. Red leather, yellow leather. Okay. Who was the first direwolf to die in the series?
Lady.
She was
don't
a
be so
good
excited.
dog.
No, lady's mother.
Ooh, technically.
No, that's a good one. God damn it, you're right.
No, but she could have been dead before the series started. We don't know that. Correct,
But
lady.
lady,
All right. Number
who
2.
got that one?
I can't even hear what Matt's saying.
Said who got the the
Unnamed
point?
direwolf mom. What was Arya selling in Bravos when she was
Clams and
selling
cockles.
stuff?
Oysters and clams.
No.
Three things. What was it?
Meat pies.
Oysters, clams, and cockles.
Oysters and
There,
clams.
someone said it. Oysters, clams, and cockles. Still don't
Right,
know what a
it
cockle
says-
I don't even know what a cockle is if it weren't for this damn
It's
show.
a cockle.
Isn't there a cockle swent, like a river or something? I just realized that. Or am I making that up? The
Yeah,
cockles.
and,
Mm.
Greg, it's late.
It flows
in Lord of the
into
Rings?
something. Never mind.
All right. This has a bonus question or a bonus point. What were Rob's last words in the book and in the movie? They were different.
In the
Grey
movie,
Wind.
I don't
It was
know.
a movie?
mother.
Keep saying
Grey
movie,
Wind.
TV show. Yes.
It's a
Grey
Grey
Wind
Wind.
Grey Wind in the books.
Yeah.
And what was it in the show?
Mother.
Mo-
Correct. Yes.
And that's what we won on.
I think it was
I did put
the
Grey
fuck?
Wolf, and I was like, Grey Wolf doesn't sound right. It's Grey.
Was everyone else in the place
Hey,
stupid?
Grey Wolf.
Drinking all night and doing a fancy football draft. And I still know that.
The rest are
You're
pretty.
doing a fantasy football draft?
I have a keeper league going.
Oh,
This is
yeah,
very-
my
We talked
dynasty
about it
league is
earlier.
drafting
Move
the
on.
last several days.
Come on,
Anyway,
trivia.
All right. Number 4. What is Davos's title?
Lord of the Rainwood.
Oh, I mean, like his
on the
moniker.
show?
No,
Onion
like
Knight.
what's he called? Yeah, the Onion Knight.
Oh.
These are the
Oh,
types of questions.
Oh, I would have got
my Lord
Lord of the
Rainwood.
Rainwood.
We're going overboard with the Lord of the Rainwood.
That's just
There is no Rainwood in the show.
It's there somewhere. Who was Tyrion's first champion in the first book?
wrong.
Ron.
Correct. What did Jaime Lannister say as he pushed Bran from the window in the first book?
But
I
I
didn't
didn't
Yeah, the
like
things I do for pot.
I do pot.
Where is Miss Sandy? Where is oh my God? Where is Melisandre from?
Galantis.
It's-
Damn it.
Katie, you're out.
The slave city of Bravos.
Which one of the seven kingdoms was not conquered by Aegon Targaryen?
Dorne.
Dorne.
Correct.
And the Riverlands are in a kingdom.
I know, and neither is the Crown Lands, so I get it. What are the Unsullied given on their first day of training?
Puppy.
They're private parts.
In their hand.
Get some spot.
Eat that.
Dang it. Wear it around your neck.
And
What was it, puppies?
it was a puppy, yes, for them to murder or strangle.
Not so later. They had to keep it a year.
No, I know.
Then they get to murder it.
Which is cool.
And 10 is very tough, especially considering what you discussed this episode. But what is the name of this episode?
People
Dragon-
didn't know.
The wolf and the dragon?
The wolf and the dragon, yeah.
The dragon and the wolf. Dragon.
Oh. Well,
Dragon wolf.
Everyone was like, oh, it's like it's on the internets.
Yeah, no, like people were like groaning, and then he was like, "It's been on the internet for a while."
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. I gotta go to bed. You guys
We need
are
that
cool.
sigil of the direwolf
why? You have like
eating
some
the
kind
dragon.
of son that you need to take care of,
Not right now,
but like later.
but like in the morning he'll be awake, and so will I be.
By the way,
You
Brett,
have
I listened to the first episode of that podcast you talked about. It's a little crazy, but it's very interesting.
It's crazy, but it's
Which one?
not at the same time. Like it's almost
Oh,
over the
that's
top, beating you over the head with it. But
No,
I don't know.
it's the oh God, what's it called? The mythology of ice or oh God,
I'll look it up. Hold on.
I'm just listening to it.
The astronomy of ice and fire. Or
Yeah,
something.
but it's like the astronomy and alchemy of ice and fire.
You would. moon boy.
Jaime is a Scorpio.
Mythical astronomy of ice and fire.
He's
That's
a
like
typical Pisces.
Him and Ned don't get along. There's same signs.
My only
Jaime's
gripe
not a
about it
Scorpio.
is quite long.
Yeah, it just wasn't the first episode, but it's pretty interesting. It's basically how like all the stuff that happened with the Long Night, he tries to fit it into like actual, like asteroid strikes and moons blowing up. How that could have been like churned into like dragons and myths and stuff over the years.
And how there's a lot of symbolism in the what is
Yeah.
happening now to what was happening then. Like
Yeah, even more than symbolism, like what's happening is literally what happened.
is
already.
what happened. Yeah, like the ice splitting into two different swords is like the moon or the comet hitting or something. It was.
The moon
It's very
dragons? Moon
Do you think
dragons?
this podcast would go over the fact that the dragons are breathing static electricity?
It was.
That's in the show.
That's a show thing. Yeah, and their thing is they said that George R. R. Martin said the seasons have nothing to do with physics; they're just magical.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that he had said that
You didn't know that?
because it makes perfect sense that if they had two moons and one is gone now, that it would no longer be
I
balanced.
thought there was. They said in the
No, because
prologue,
like winter can be
the
like
natural
2 years or
event
10
that
years.
causes
Like
the seasons to be all like.
he said that
crazy.
there's a magical explanation for it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that could be like
you assume
a
that it has to
comet.
do with the doom of Valyria, but I don't know.
magic.
I mean, the magical explanation for it could be moon dragons. We don't know.
Yes,
Very well could.
yes.
But
Like
the dragons were probably actual comets, not actual dragons raining
Right,
fire
right,
down
that's what
from
they
the
were
moon
saying.
below. Yeah.
Which
I
makes
wonder-
way more sense what I was saying, but I
But you got a theory.
I do, and it
Brett's a
exists.
sensitive soul and needs this.
I don't think so.
Brett, you
People
have a
still
baby?
get up on that moon dragons.
What?
Do you actually
Brett, you
have a
have-
child?
Hard to believe, right? Somebody actually conceived of me.
Have you produced progeny?
It's like the cutest
Yes,
baby
it is
anybody's ever
adorable.
seen.
I've seen him.
Matt held him.
I've held the baby too.
Yeah, lots of people have held my baby. My wife carried it for 9 months, and then now she's still
I was gonna make a joke about
Hasn't
Apple,
touched
no.
it since. But
carrying. Not the baby.
he takes after his Varley.
That's not your baby.
That's what my wife keeps telling me.
My wife swears that that our baby's not hers because it looks so much like me and like
You have a baby too?
Katie, I'm a
I don't
grandpa.
know. I feel like it actually came out of you. It is yours. Like if anything,
yes
if
I
it
do yes.
that would be a
It just-
problem.
It's just weird. It just weirds me out that people in our age range. Like, how old are you, Brett?
He's 46.
Like, Jesus.
I'm not 46. That's a lie.
Is it better if he's 19?
Have
I
you
don't-
not? You've probably heard my son before,
No,
occasionally on the podcast.
I assumed that we were all celibate. Just
We've all taken the saltpeter and it's gone according to plan.
It's taking a while for
Oh,
me to
boy.
find a picture of me with my baby to prove that it's mine.
Where's the pickle thingy? Or what was it?
The pickle thingy? Don't tell people.
Oh,
you know, I don't have
the
no idea
video
what
when you
look
were like,
That's who you are. That's who you are.
That's who you are. Is that what you just said?
I've
is not-
never,
I don't
like
think-
I've never seen any of your faces except for Casey and Adam because they're your icons. I don't know what anybody looks like.
Wait, is my face still on
Right, didn't
Skype?
you,
Yeah, your face is still on Skype.
Shit, I never checked that. I gotta change that shit.
Backup recorder has a baby.
Yes. Gained sentience and had a child.
I don't know how many times I have to explain backup recorder to people, but it's been so many times.
You look way different than
what?
I thought.
Yeah, that's what Linecom said. He's like, I thought you would be different. And I said, me too.
I thought you
I just thought you'd be like a tiny person.
I am a tiny person.
Yeah.
You
I
look
thought Greg was
tall.
the seal.
I look huge
but-
next to a baby.
Yeah, everybody expected me to be tall. I don't know why, but sorry.
I expected you to be taller than me.
I'm sorry.
Did you expect him to be tall? No, I expected you to die.
You can see me in the background in that picture just eating ice cream
there are problems.
while everybody was passing the baby around.
What?
Wait, what?
Casey,
That's
baby.
the same baby, Katie.
It's a baby. It looks the same as any other baby.
Brett, I did not know that you and Casey had a baby. When did this happen?
Does Randy know about this?
Where were y'all that this baby passing around was going on?
That's
That's
Amber.
the Boston move.
Yeah. Stuff,
Then
like,
underneath
you'd think
it.
he would have gotten one by accident at this point, right?
I feel like he would
No,
have.
but
I
he
don't know.
said in the books.
I don't feel like
you-
horrors let that happen.
that you let.
Not
brother have-
often, but it does happen. Like, I don't know.
I feel like Tyrion would have AIDS by now, though.
But it's like I don't know
I
if
mean,
you guys
come
watch
on.
Ballers, but like I was watching like I think it was like the first episode of the season of Ballers, and I haven't really picked it up, but like one of the plot points has The Rock with his buddies, and they're like, "Hey man, we've all gotten someone pregnant, right? Right?" And he's like, "Yeah. Oh crap, I might be impotent." I'm like, what? So I don't know. It's kind
you
of a
watch
weird.
Ballers?
I watch like it's sports entourage, and I love The Rock, but yeah, it's.
God.
I'm gonna cut this out because it's embarrassing, but I only watched the first season.
I'm
Oh,
like, I'm
sure.
cutting this out. I'm cutting this out.
It's on right after Game of Thrones.
So sorry.
I totally recommend if you've never seen. They're great.
It's baller.
Baller again, Adam.
Damn it.
Are you from California?
No, he likes ballers.
Yes, I am literally.
He likes
That's
ballers.
how we talk. I said I watched. Oh my gosh, whatever. There was an announcement. It's gonna be cut, Greg, so this won't make any sense to you.
No.
But yeah,
No,
I
that
watched
needs
the
to be
first
the-
season of
That's
Ballers.
better stay in.
That better be the bumper.
I'll have to edit it heavily so that it looks favorable on me. Okay, so Martin goes into intimate detail about like the place settings on the table when they eat, and he has some uncomfortable sex talk, but he's not like, Danny was in her chamber on her flow, like he doesn't go into that. Except
No, they do talk
for at
about
the
that.
end of Dance where she's like, oh, she's bleeding between her legs. So that's gotta mean something, right?
He needs like a female writer to write all these fucking menstruation scenes.
You can tell though, like it's that thing of when dudes try to write women. Like I
Yeah.
swear, it's almost he does this. I think with all the women, but Danny especially, where it's like she describes her nipples constantly.
Yes.
Where it's like she's
her nipples could cut glass yet again. Dragon glass this time.
she jumped down the stairs boobily as her boobs brushed against her.
It's an adjective?
Like, what if that scene at the end of Dance is just her on her period, but George just thinks that's how bad it can be?
It can be that bad. What are you
I
talking
know it
about,
can.
Casey?
All right, guys,
everyone's like,
let's go
"Oh,
get a
she's
brandy
sick,
while the
she's
ladies talk
dying."
about periods.
I
I'll
have
have a
definitely been
scotch.
incapacitated on a bathroom floor covered in vomit before. It was so bad. So I believe that chapter.
Well, this is going in. Oh my
That's what-
gosh.
He
Everything
said.
you ever wanted to know. Period.
My wife does this to me all the time. Like, why do I need to know all the details? Because it's happening to me.
Yeah, grow up, guys.
Exactly.
No, it's not like ooh, I can't handle it. I'm just like, I don't, it's like I don't have to tell you if I don't know.
That you don't have
if something
one.
happens. Well, there are things that I could talk about that are probably gross that have
Like
to do with
what?
bodily
Can
function.
I go?
Well, I'm
now,
not talking
please?
about them because right? Like,
What's specific to men other than jerking off?
No, not specific to men, but just in general. Oh,
Katie,
yeah,
is that
right,
all you
right.
think men do? Is just jerk off all the time?
Constantly.
Yes.
I go to work.
6 or 7 times
Jerk
a
off
day,
there.
usually on
I
a
have
slow
not
day.
jerked off at the bookstore.
You haven't? Wow, how do
I
you
haven't.
control yourself, Greg?
Is there a bathroom at the bookstore?
All those books.
Take
Yes,
your
there's a
business?
bathroom.
And all those chains.
There's no chains. I've said there's no
Ooh.
chains at the bookstore.
You got to get some chains, dude. They're hip. Get some chains for those shells. I
There's
swear.
definitely a lot of
It's
people
worth
in
it.
this world that jerk off at work, so you would not be
Oh
judged.
no, there was a test. There was a statistic. I think it's 30% of women and 40% of men have done it once.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm surprised.
That's a high number,
30%.
especially of
Maybe
women.
ladies can just do it by like.
So,
I
hold
just
on a
sat down
second.
differently.
So what you're telling
Men
me,
can do it cleanly in the
So what you're
toilet.
telling
Women
me
have to like
that's-
move around.
you're telling me that 70% of women and 59% of men are liars? Is that what you're telling me? Mr. Robot, where are you?
I've never seen that show.
You would enjoy the first season.
Maybe. He's
I
got
watched,
that
like, go
weird
ahead.
looking guy in it. Who was in Until Dawn.
Christian Slater.
Christian Slater. It's good to see he's getting work and not getting canceled.
Does anyone remember the movie Elf to begin with?
Yeah,
Remember
I do.
my
Everybody
wife
loves
watches
Elf.
it
I
every
watch
year.
that every year.
I've
it's
never,
like-
Put the maple syrup
never-
on the spaghetti.
never
like the-
seen it.
Are you
Never seen
kidding
it at
me?
all?
Ugh.
Grinch.
That's like the Christmas movie of our generation.
You're well. Maybe I'm older than you. I don't know.
Well, anyone who's like older than 15, I think it's like a legit movie. But
Well, you say so. I do.
What's up, motherfuckers?
was Elf not allowed in your house? Were you banned from watching Elf?
I just don't know anybody who's seen it.
You know all of us.
Yeah.
When
It's
were you
not a good-
born? When were
Before
you
this
born?
moment. Before this moment.
Ooh,
This magic movement.
this magic movement out on the moors.
Is Kitty against Elf?
She's never seen it.
She's never
Apparently.
She
seen
doesn't
it.
even know anybody who's seen it.
It's not good.
They don't celebrate
What?
Christmas where she's at.
What?
Varley, die.
What?
I don't like
It's-
Elf or Bad Santa. People fucking love those movies. I'm just
Oh,
like,
are you
Santa's
kidding me?
awful.
fucking piles of shit ever.
Bad Santa
Bad
was great.
Santa.
Like, and then like 2 years later, it was like, oh, that wasn't so great. At the time, it was all right. Why did they make a sequel?
second
What
one.
happened? Was the
actually
sequel
watched it.
horrible?
It was pretty awful. Yeah. It was. I mean, it was more the
suspected as
same. They got the
much.
kid back, and he was all exactly
Awkward.
the same but bigger. And, yeah. I want to know who said "GIF."
It's a GIF.
Casey, that wasn't you, was it?
It was me.
GIF is how the person who like invented it is like, it's
Yeah, but
pronounced
he's
GIF.
wrong.
And you're like, bastard, you should have used a J. I don't care how you want it pronounced, because that's not how it's pronounced, okay? It's like, I live around here, okay, and we have a city called Lebanon, and people around here
Oh,
call
look
it
out.
Lebanon. They say, oh, we're going to Lebanon. I go, that's not how you pronounce it. Do you know where Lebanon is? No, but I know where Lebanon is. It's 30 minutes away. No, man, it's Lebanon. I'm like, you forgot some letters.
Adam,
be
what
like,
kind
oh,
of place
well,
do you
The
live?
thing is, wants to be like, gonna recognize
I
this.
Sells a Rita.
I may be exaggerating the sling bladeness of my neighbors, but
How would you pronounce that
Oh,
then
good.
in the chat?
Hahira?
Hey, Hira.
What?
Hey,
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 Hira. Hey,
Hey,
hi,
what?
Hira.
Hey, Hira.
It's hey,
T?
Hira.
There's a T in there?
No, it's Hey, Hira.
Okay.
There's a
Alright.
song about
Said
this.
Hahira.
There's a stupid song about Hey, Hira, Georgia, and how you're supposed to pronounce it.
I think you should sing it.
I don't know the words.
How would you pronounce that word?
Iran?
No, that's Ira Ann, Texas.
Oh.
It's Ira Ann.
Are you serious?
I got broken down.
Are
in
you serious?
Ira Ann, Texas, a population of like 1,000 people or something, because like my car was like melting.
He has more guns Iran, Texas, or Iran the country?
It's in the middle of nowhere. There's like no real hotel. We had to stay in this hotel that was just like where the oil workers worked, and they just kind of moved next door for the night. It smelled like oil, and they didn't take any of their shit out. And then I had to take a bus like back to Houston for like 12 hours. And I was and I was like telling someone on the phone, I'm in Iran, Texas. And then when I got off the phone, oh, it's Iran.
How do you pronounce that one?
Conshohoken.
Conshohoken?
Conshohoken.
Not that one. It's Pennsylvania and it's Conshohocken.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. It's probably some indigenous language.
Gonna say, I think the head concho would disagree with you.
How about this one?
Bad Varley is typing.
Hold on.
The anticipation.
You gotta have it ready, Varley.
How do you pronounce that
you.
one?
This is Golden After Show. That's how you pronounce it.
Start the fucking thing. I think I got it.
All right. Hey, how many fingers am I holding up?
Probably one, and it's your middle one.
Yeah, you look at that. Bran on the chat today. All right.
Yeah. Well, I saw everything except for your mysterious marriage that I probably should have picked up. But
I didn't bother to look. Yeah. All right. Well, I gotta get to bed because it is late. Yeah, it's late.
All right. I made it towards the end, but I hope you had a good podcast before I got there, and I look forward to listening to it.
We held out for you. We looked for your light on the coming of the third day.
Yes. 11 o'clock. Look to the internet.
Yes. I blew the horn, the Hornberg. It all worked out really well.
Casey, these are all Lord of the Rings references.
Doesn't she know that now?
I haven't seen the third movie.
Really?
You've seen the second one.
That's the second movie.
Anyway.
Okay. We were half asleep during that.
Oh, boy. All right. On that note.
All right. Good night.
Good night. What did you guys think of this? I thought the Dragon Pit seemed awfully far away from King's Landing, but I don't know.
I guess you probably would want it.
Jesus.
All right.
What was that?